What is up, y'all? Welcome back. It is time for the first roster update review of the year, and oh my God, is it huge. They said 450 players went up and down. Already did my initial sweep, checking out the diamonds and golds, just because I know my chat would spoil it. I am on Twitch right now, twitch.tv/Sporer. So if you want to come through on every other Friday, the roster updates, we do these live. We'll do it live. And that's exactly what we're doing. We're going to do it live, but I know the chat would spoil, so I got to do my initial review. I could never really save it to have my initial reactions be in the review, but that's okay. So I already know who went diamond and gold, but there's plenty to talk about because I didn't even get into the mid and low tier guys, which I really enjoy going through as well. So we'll go position by position if you're new here, talk about damn near everybody. Let's just be honest. We really dive in, and with 450 players, my chat actually did a prediction, channel prediction of how long this is going to take. I don't even know the over-under, so I can't influence it, but I'm eager to see what hits. Let's start. So we have Ohtani this year, who, by the way, I think this kind of went underrated. We didn't really talk enough about how they really made him excellent the way he should be. Remember last year, since he was an SP card, that's all that mattered for him was his SP stuff. So the fact that his hitting was just going up and up and up, it didn't really add to his overall. Now he's somebody that can actually get to 99 this year. And so I'm really excited about that. He gets a +1. I don't know if it includes hitting here, and I can't really check it. Somebody would have to compare it in the inventory to what his hitting was, because there's no way to check it in this particular screen. So I don't know if he got a boost there. We see Max Scherzer got nooched. If you don't know what that means, that just means a neutral movement. We call it getting nooched. And it's not great when people get nooched. There was one key nooching that I'm a little bummed by, but I'm gonna take the L on that one. I didn't look at that guy's walk and strikeout rate closely enough, so I predicted him to diamond, and he got nooched. But we'll talk about that over at shortstop. Corbin Burns goes up. Remember when we were panicking about that opening day start? And I say we, I mean y'all, not me. I don't act like that, because that was crazy. No, it was very light. I don't want to create a straw man. There was not that much panic, but it's that thing like you draft your first round ace coming off the Cy Young, and it's like, I want him to go out and throw, a shutout with 15 strikeouts. And he got a little hit up by the Cubs, who, by the way, have proven to be at least a pretty capable offense. Seiya Suzuki has been amazing. So he has rebounded completely. And again, I don't even want to call it a rebound, because he wasn't even that bad opening day. But he's been awesome again, and he looks like an absolute god already again this year. Speaking of absolute god, if you're one of the ones crying about Kershaw getting pulled for the perfect game, take it up with Kershaw himself. He was totally on board with it. He knew he wasn't stretched out enough. Do you want him to just wreck his arm for your pleasure? Fuck you if you do. That's ridiculous. There was just no way. I don't think this was like Dave Roberts or like the babying of pitchers or anything. It was opening day on a short spring in Minnesota in April. There's just no way Kershaw could go 100+ pitches. But anyway, he's been amazing. 0 walks so far this year. Let's get that BB9 up even more. We'll take the 4 points right now, though. Speaking of veteran gods, look at our boy JV, and he hasn't even gotten the Ks going yet. He's at 9.69, which is kind of nice, but we know he can go higher. I told y'all he's a unicorn. Now, he's my favorite pitcher ever, so I'm super biased. So basically, I get to always just be right when he's good, and then if he's not good, I can just be like, well, I don't know, it's my favorite player. So I'm kind of in a no-lose situation, but I was pretty high on him coming back into this year from like the fantasy aspect of he's a unicorn. And guys like him and Scherzer and Kershaw and these guys that are like Hall of Fame types, even though he's 39, coming off the injury, I was drafting him in fantasy really high. I was ready to go ahead and just dive back in, and he certainly hasn't disappointed yet. The key is just going to be health. It was never going to be talent. For me, if things go wrong this year, it's only going to be injury. I don't think he's just going to forget how to pitch, start walking guys, or have like a 6.9, walk rate, strikeout rate or something like that. And I didn't say 6.9 just for the 69 joke. I think those are just the first two numbers that come to my head because I'm a child. Garrett Cole is off to a slow start a little bit. You look at the 117 whip, that's still really good. 10.5 strikeouts is still really good. The ERA is up a little bit. I don't know. It's tough. This guy gets every start uber scrutinized since the sticky stuff ban. And every time he's bad, it's like he needs sticky stuff. And every time he's good, I don't hear anything from those people. I don't understand. That's really weird how that works. So every time he sucks, it's because he needs sticky stuff. Oh, no, the latest was he's wiping something on his butt. That was the whole conspiracy theory, was that, no, dude, he was cheating. Do you see this brown spot on his butt? Like he was wiping some dirt or whatever. They check their fingers after every inning now. So if he just had this magic sticky stuff that was only sticky until he got the third out, I'm not exactly sure how that worked. I'm not some like Garrett Cole super fan, but enough trying to like cut him down and pretend that sticky stuff made him. He was actually good in Pittsburgh. The reason he wasn't super ace untouchable in Pittsburgh is because they were stupid and they didn't know how to tell him to utilize his secondary stuff. They kept wanting him to throw fucking two-seamers because that was Ray Searage's whole thing, was two-seamers and ground balls, which, I mean, there was some viability to it, but when you have an ace like Garrett Cole, you let him throw his secondary stuff and get hella whiffs. So once he went to Houston, yes, he was using sticky stuff. I'm not doubting that. I'm saying it didn't make him, though. That took him to another level, but he's a god no matter what. He does lose 2 here. So for all that positive talk, he did lose 2. He will eventually go back up. I'll make a bet. He's going to be up by 90, be up, back up over 90 or at 90 by the summer. So late June is when summer starts. So I think by sometime then, he'll be back up. Carlos Rodon has shown that last year was 100% legit. The only thing that can seem to get in his way right now is health. Because even last year, I think he only threw 123 innings. But don't forget, this guy was a number 3 overall pick. So we shouldn't be that surprised. I'm not saying like you should have expected him to be as good as he was last year or anything like that. I'm saying as far as the talent breakout, it was always about health. Because you can even look at those White Sox years before last year, and there were hints of this greatness. It's just that he could not stay healthy. And it's really difficult to pitch when you can't stay healthy. And that was the big problem. Last year, he gets over the hurdle. And I know a lot of people were concerned about him in the fantasy world. Those of us who were doing fall and winter drafts. Yes, there are some of us psychopaths who do drafts in like November for the following season, who weren't really drafting him because the White Sox didn't give him the qualifying offer. And they were kind of reading that as they don't believe in him or they don't trust his medicals or whatever. But then the second that the Giants, a team with an excellent reputation for pitching, the second that they signed him, his price shot through the roof. Everyone bought right back in and said, okay, well, if they believe it, then I'm in. And I get that, but maybe we should have just not been so quick to think that because the White Sox didn't do a qualifying offer that they were necessarily out on him. If you think about it, it kind of makes sense that maybe they didn't want to spend 18 mil on him. Not because he's not worth it, but because they had other fish to fry. Like, think about their rotation. I know it's a little banged up right now, but Lance Lynn, when healthy, Giolito, Cease, Kopech, and then you can have a rotating fit. Now, if Rodon's in there, that's an amazing 5. But you don't have to have an amazing 5. And putting a $19 million outlay there to keep Rodon around wasn't necessarily where their money was best spent. So I didn't always read that as like, oh, they think he's going to break down again. And I'm not saying that Keuchel or Velasquez or, the other Johnny Cueto's in the minors and they'll probably use him at some point. I'm not saying they're the same as Rodon. I'm just saying they probably thought that their 19 mil was better spent elsewhere. And that's why they didn't give him the qualifying offer, which he might have accepted. Kevin Gausman, speaking of somebody, he just left the Giants after they had the reclamation project with him. And I got him wrong. So far, I mean, I'm taking the early L here. I don't know that this is going to come back in my favor. I was nervous about him this year, and part of it was I believed what he did with San Francisco, but I thought he was going back to the old scene of the crime, going back to the AL East where shit just did not go well as a Baltimore Oriole. I know he was a different pitcher. I'm not saying he was the same guy and he was just going to revert to being 100% the same guy, but I was like, that's a really difficult division. I really, really believe in everything San Francisco's doing. What if he doesn't have like all that same sort of, stuff that he was doing with them carries over, right? Sometimes it's not that you like forget what they taught you or whatever, but it's that constant reinforcement of the quality coaching that can definitely keep a guy going. And then when they leave that team, maybe they fall back into old habits, things like that. So I was nervous about him. I kind of lowered him in my rankings. And I'm going to take the L early because Gausman is one of my favorite pitchers. It was one of those where I went head over heart, and I thought I was, doing the stone cold analysis of like, let's look at this from a data standpoint and not let your heart get into it. I should have just let my heart guide me because I love Gausman and he's a beast. Bieber gets nooched. Woody goes down 1. These guys will both, these two have both been pitching a lot better since their season debut. I could see them both going up relatively soon. Musgrove will go back to Diamond this year, mark my words. Or did he get to Diamond last year? I don't remember if he did. If he didn't, he will. He's a badass. I think he's a true ace. Zach Wheeler pitched like a true ace last year, but he has not been there yet this year. Do not fret, though. This could be an interesting investment because he's down right now. You saw he's out of Diamond, -3. The velo isn't there. It's -2 miles an hour from last year. But don't forget, he had 0 spring training. So he is essentially ramping up on the job. He's having to do it in actual games, which is kind of tough. So he's kind of meandering through it a little bit. He had a good outing last time out. I know it was the Rockies, in Phillies, which Nick Pollock, my friend, calls Rocky Road because it's really sweet when your fantasy pitchers face them. And he did really well against them. So the velo still isn't there. Even in that last outing, it was still down 2 miles an hour. But the stuff looked a lot more crisp. And I still like Zach Wheeler. If you want to take a gamble, it is a gamble because, remember, he did have some injury concerns, which is why he didn't pitch in spring. It is risky, but I think there might be some upside here for him to get back to Diamond because we're starting to see inklings of the Zach Wheeler from last year. Robbie Ray goes down from Diamond. I'm not going to take the early dub here. I just wasn't buying Ray off of last year at full price. I like Robbie Ray. It was awesome what he did last year. I'm on Team Tight Pants. My boy JV likes to wear those yoga pants out there as well. I'm all for it, but it was 1 year and I was just like, I'm going to wait and see here. So I'm not surprised he gets bumped down. The really interesting thing, though, is that the strikeouts are gone right now. 6.1 K9. Even when Robbie Ray was at his worst, he was still striking everybody out. He'd either strike you out, walk you, or give up a homer. That was the problem previously. But this year, he's not even getting the case. He'll be fine. He could even get back to Diamond. I'm not going to invest in him, but he might not be a bad potential investment if you believe in Robbie Ray. I don't really. Not to the degree of Diamond. Nathan Eovaldi goes up. This is one of my absolute favorite pitchers. I've been following him and Basemen for years, and I've been following Eovaldi since his Dodger days. He was a Dodgers prospect. Some of y'all might not even remember that he was a Dodger, and then a Marlin, and then was it Rays, Yankees, Red Sox, or Red Sox, or Rays, Yankees, Rays, Reds? I don't know. I just said the same order twice in a row. I don't remember the order of his teams, but I know he's been around the AL East lately, and he's awesome. The only thing that really stops Nathan Eovaldi is health. The problem is it very consistently stops him, and he hasn't really had back-to-back healthy seasons ever, or maybe just once. But I'm nervous about that. I love when he's pitching, though. He could get to Diamond if he stays healthy. That's a big risk, though, so I'd be very careful if you try to get in on the Nathan Eovaldi sweepstakes. Freddie Peralta was another one of those who didn't look great in his first outing. People started panicking, and then his second outing wasn't that great either. The problem is his command has been off, and you can see that with the -5 on the walk rate right now. I don't think he'll necessarily get back to Diamond this year. He might move up from 82, but I'd probably just pass on this and just watch. Just watch Peralta from afar. I don't really see an investment opportunity. He's nasty enough to get back on track and start pitching like an ace again, but I think it's too risky to invest a bunch of stubs in as an 82. Darvish, we know how volatile he can be. When he's on, he's completely untouchable. When he's off, I feel like the Pirates can put 6 runs on him. So that's a tough part with Darvish and why I probably wouldn't invest in him because the volatility is too severe. My boy Max Fried gets +2. I'm really keen on Max Fried. I actually gave him some Cy Young consideration this year. I write some clips, some blurbs for the Baseball HQ forecaster, and I got the Max Fried one this year. And at the end, I said, watch out. He could be the NL Cy Young. And I do believe that. The one thing we need to see, though, for him to really jump up for both our purposes in MLB and fantasy baseball are the strikeouts. And they just haven't been there. And I'm just wondering if maybe he's just not a big strikeout guy. And that's okay. You can have a hell of a lot of success being a mediocre strikeout guy if you do everything else well. And he does. So I still really like Max Fried, and he gets a 2-point bump here. But I'm not going to jump in on Diamond until we see him start to strike out a bunch of guys. And then I would jump in for a Diamond investment. Aaron Nola gets nooched, but he's been looking better as well. He started off a little slow, but I'm liking what I'm seeing out of Nola lately. He pitches tonight, so we'll see how he does. He could definitely get back to Diamond this year. Here's another one that I'm not quite going to take the L on yet, but I kind of hope I do. The reason I was a little bit down on Manoah relative to the fantasy market this year was because he's a two-pitch guy with a platoon issue. Lefties get to him because that's part of the two pitches. He doesn't have a third pitch to really get lefties out consistently. Little bit of a home run issue last year and a difficult division. Well, he's off to an amazing start. You see the numbers right there. 1.44 ERA, .88 WHIP, 4 wins, which if you play fantasy, wins are fucking impossible this year. Oh my God, dude. But the reason I'm not quite taking the L just yet is the same issue. Well, not the home run. His home run rate has actually been very good. But the same situation with the platoon split and the two pitches are both there. He has a 727 OPS against lefties, which isn't terrible, but he has a 316 against righties. So he either has to maintain that 316 against righties or figure out something against lefties, because the 316 is going to regress. He's going to get a little bit worse against righties for sure. And I just worry that if the numbers against lefties also go up, then he's a good, not great pitcher. So I see him more as like an 83, 84 type this year. I don't know that he's going to go all the way to diamond because I just don't know that he's ready to take on all comers, including lefties. So I love Alek Manoah. He's somebody I fell for big time last year. I loved watching him. But I'm not going to take the L yet, and I'm not going to invest in him for diamond just yet. Especially because, look, he just got -2 on the Ks. He's only at 9.0 Ks. And this is a good measure right now that a strikeout per inning for a starter is only worth a mid to high 60s K9, because that's where strikeouts are these days. So do not think that if somebody's sitting in the 9 to 9.5 range that they need to be in the 70s for K9. The league has just continued to add strikeouts year over year over year, and so you really have to be exemplary to move your K9 up. Pablo Lopez, he's going to go as far as the shoulder will take him. Even last year, he was an ace until he wasn't. He just got hurt, and then the season was over. And that was the big issue with Pablo Lopez, and kind of why I was a little bit nervous about him this year. But the talent is not in question. He is a stone-cold stud, so I'm intrigued by investing in him. Just know that the rug could be pulled any instant. So if you've invested in any of those shit coins in crypto, you know all about rug pulls. This could be one of those. If you're not careful, just be careful about Pablo Lopez, because there might not be any forewarning either. It just happens one day that the shoulder flares back up. I guess it would be this shoulder, and then he's out. That's my only concern with him, but the guy is amazing, and he is a true ace. Frankie Montas, our boy, paid big dividends last year. If you remember investing in him to go gold last year, it took a little while, but when we got there, we all hit big. Wearing the A's hat today in honor of Frankie. He gets +3 into gold. I do actually think he could go diamond at some point this year. It would be a long-term situation, something like June or July, but I really do believe he has the talent to do so. And thankfully, win-loss record does not matter. So the fact that he's on Oakland won't hold him back from getting an upgrade. Logan Webb gets +1. This is a guy I'm a big fan of too. The strikeouts haven't really been there yet, but I do believe that he can work those back up. Definitely keep a close eye on Logan Webb. Even if he only kind of matriculates up to, say, an 84, I think he can be worth investing in. I'm trying to pull up the quick sell sheet real quick. Bear with me. I should have had that pulled up. If he gets to an 84, that's 1,500 quick sell. I'm not sure exactly where he is right now, but keep an eye on that. He might not have diamond capability unless the strikeouts really come on, but I do think Logan Webb is an absolute beast. And of course, I just got done talking about how great the Giants are with pitchers. We saw what he did last year. I firmly believe in Logan Webb. Thor. Now, he did lose 9 in his K rate. I'll tell you what, though, I'm investing. There is injury risk for sure. I fully grant that. But the reason I'm still investing is because while his strikeout rate is just 5.8 right now, his swinging strike rate is 13%, which is above average and quite good. And what it tells me is that the strikeouts are going to come. They just haven't been there yet. And so I really think once Syndergaard gets fully in his bag and starts getting all those whiffs, he's going to get back to the Thor that we're used to, the Thor who used to be a consistent diamond. And so I really, really like Thor as a long-term investment. The only thing that can really rip that from us would, again, be the health. But here's the bottom line, too, and I've mentioned it with Syndergaard and Lopez and Eovaldi and maybe a couple others. Yes, they have a little bit elevated injury risk relative to the entire league, but every pitcher is an injury risk. So don't go around thinking like, because I didn't say anything about Montas's health risk, that he's super safe or something. If you're pitching, you are a health risk. Some guys have a little bit elevated, but the way I've been describing it is like, most people think Pablo Lopez, Zach Wheeler, Thor, Eovaldi, their health risk is up here, and then healthy guys' health risk is down here. And what the truth of it is that they're kind of like this. Yes, they have an elevated health risk, but the other guys are just right here. Because as trite as the phrase is, it's so true. You're healthy till you're not. And that's just how it is with pitchers. The healthiest guy out there can tweak something, and boom, he's on the IL for 3 months. So just keep that in mind when you're dealing with anybody who has potential health issues. I love Thor. Morton got off to a pretty slow start last year, so I'm not too worried about it. I will say, though, I would not invest. Even though I do believe he can kind of get back on track, the one thing that is kind of lurking always is the health, or is the age with him. Because, and health, but specifically the age. And once you get past age 35, it can go in an instant. The body can just simply give out. When we look at aging curves and health risk curves, it's that 35 marker for your age where shit can just fall apart and you turn to dust. And Morton has already had major health issues. I don't think he's there. The velo's fine. The stuff looks pretty solid. I think he's going to just have a slow start and be okay, but I wouldn't invest here. Where are my Bassett Hounds at? I know I'm wearing the hat of his old team, but Chris Bassett was a big gold hit for us last year, and he gets the gold very quickly this year, showing that last year was no joke. Don't forget, my man just got hit in the face last year with a comebacker and returned in the same year. And this year he's shown absolutely no ill effect from that. You never know how that's going to affect somebody mentally. That's scary as hell, man. Are they going to be tentative with their follow through and thus they're going to kind of pull back a little bit and affect all their pitches? Or are you going to be stone cold like Bassett and be like, I don't give a shit. I'm not afraid of the ball. I will eat that ball. He's been amazing though. He's been awesome on the mats. I don't really think he can go diamond because even though his strikeouts are at a very healthy 9.8, that's probably about the cap for Bassett. And I really think you need to be a strong strikeout guy to really get all the way to diamond. So this is not his cap, but 82, 83 probably is. So I don't think I'd invest in Bassett beyond this. Lucas Giolito gets +1. He's a beast. He missed some time. He only has 8 innings so far. He can absolutely get back to diamond. Sugar Shane McClanahan. If you have not watched him, do yourself a favor the next time he starts and watch his start. This dude is so freaking electric. Just an absolute badass from the left side. I wouldn't even rule out diamond for him. I think I'm open to a long-term investment here where I just hold my shares and see how the season plays out because he is so good. And his strikeout rate is through the roof. He doesn't walk too many guys. He's unhittable. They're starting to trust him more and more as a true ace. He had a few 4-inning games to start the season, and then he's starting to expand beyond that. And while the Rays are definitely a team that kind of keeps tight reins on their pitchers, when they have a true ace on their hands, a guy who's really pitching like an absolute stud, Snell, and I know I'm talking specifically Snell in his Cy Young season when he went 180 innings, but then even Archer for a couple seasons. Those guys pushed 180, 190, and even 200 a couple times, I think, for Archer. There's a couple other guys, too. James Shields, of course, was a big-time workhorse. So when they have somebody that they truly believe can turn the lineup over 3 times, like McClanahan can, they're not afraid to go ahead and push them. So I think McClanahan is going to be a 180-inning pitcher this year, and with the skills that he has, he could be an absolute stud and a diamond. Urias goes down 1. He's been having an inconsistent start. You see that the walk rate and the strikeout rate get knocked there. I think he's going to be fine. He'll probably work his way back up, and he might even jump up to diamond at some point this year. Logan Gilbert has become one of my favorite young pitchers to watch. This dude, I know this phrase is a little bit overused. He's an absolute bulldog out there, though. And you can see it just kind of in the way he pitches. He had this outing in Chicago against the White Sox. The wind was blowing like crazy. My skinny ass would have been flying out there like a kite. Somebody would have had to pin me down to keep me from flying away. It was so freaking windy. In fact, there was like 4 or 5 pop-ups, not even fly balls, pop-ups that fell into the infield because the fielders couldn't play them because it was so freaking windy. And he was just battling there. And you could see that he was like fighting his stuff. It was the wind was almost helping it get more break, but it was creating a lot of balls. And so they were just taking it. So he was adjusting on the fly there like, fuck, how do I deal with it? How do I take a little bit of spin off my stuff? I'm too nasty right now. And he battled in that outing. I was really impressed with that. He's a high pedigree prospect who's really panning out. I was impressed with his rookie season too. I think he only had like a 4.64 ERA, which, no one's doing backflips for that. But the trajectory of his season was super impressive. He got off to a great start, hit the rookie wall, but then rebounded and had a great close. And I really take a lot from stuff like that. When guys have adversity and show that they can rebound, it's really, really clutch. And I think Logan Gilbert is actually a sneak-tip diamond candidate this year. It would definitely be something that comes in July, maybe even August. So if you're not interested in the long-term, the long-term investment, I totally get it. But at least keep him on your watch list because this dude is a stud in the making. My boy Sandy, I mentioned that Max Fried was a NL consideration for Cy Young for me. Sandy was my actual pick. And I'm not upset with the 178 ERA and the 118 whip, but I was hoping that the strikeouts would be a bit better so far. I'm still not too worried about it. He closed strong last year with his strikeout rate, really starting to look like a true ace. He's always had swing and miss stuff, but because he's a huge ground ball guy, I feel like he doesn't really care about strikeouts. And I'm like, hey, us fantasy dweebs do. Please strike out more guys. He's like, why do I have to? I have a 178 ERA without the strikeouts. I don't need them. But I do think he'll start to get more strikeouts as the season goes. His swinging strike rate is still very good. I love Sandy. The fact that they knocked him here, I totally get it. Because his walk rate is up over about a walk and a half from last year, from 2.2 to 3.6, and his strikeout rate is down from 8.8 to 7.1. So I don't think that they messed up anything here. And those who kind of judge by ERA are going to be like, why is Sandy downgraded? It's because ERA doesn't matter. That's not what they're judging here. They're judging his skills. So I get it. That creates an investment opportunity for us, y'all. Let's wait for his price to bottom out, and then I'm hammering this. You will see me with 50 Sandy Alcantara shares eventually. I'm going to see where the price goes, and I'm definitely getting back in. Jose Barrios is still kind of working off that initial horrendous outing. I forget who was it against for Barrios. I'm asking nobody because I'm not looking at the chat right now, so I'm just asking the ether. It was Texas. I should have gone with my gut. I thought it was Texas, but a third of an inning, 4 runs on 5 base runners, with 4 starts all year. That is still carrying a lot of weight. Since then, a 3 ERA with a little bit of a high whip at 1.3. I don't love that, but I'm not too worried about Barrios. If you want to invest in him to go back to gold, I totally agree. I'm going to put a little investment in him as well. Zach Gallen, where my Gallen gals at? Big Zach Gallen fan. This is another guy like so many we've talked about where the only thing that's really going to stop him is health. He dealt with 3 different injuries last year. He's been on and off the IL a bit throughout his career, but the talent is unquestioned. And I really, really like Zach Gallen. He's an absolute hold for gold. Start getting your shares now. Michael Kopech is another hold for gold. He battled yesterday. Yesterday being April 28th, by the way. I don't know when people are watching this on YouTube, but if you didn't watch that Thursday start, he battled. Casey was giving him some trouble. There were a few calls that didn't quite go his way. He was being a little bit squeezed. He had 4 walks, but he really battled, and I like to see that. Again, kind of going back to the Logan Gilbert thing. When a young pitcher is battling adversity and really showing that they can kind of push forward, I love that. I love that from them. I think Kopech is an ace. I mean, not yet. I think he has an ace future, and I totally believe he's going to be gold this year. And I think he has diamond potential at some point this summer as well. Sean Manaea gets +1. His BB9 goes way down, but he gets the hits and Ks to kind of counterbalance it. He's definitely a hold for gold, and I could certainly see him getting there. My boy Patrick Sandoval gets a nice little 3-point boost off rip. My man has not allowed a run yet this year. 15 innings, 20 punchies, 6 walks. complete hold for gold. And yeah, a little bit of diamond potential with him too. Miles Michaelis has hold for gold, but that's it. I don't think he's getting a diamond because he couldn't strike me out. Now, he'd still get me out easily because I'm terrible, but and he would strike me out, by the way. I'm totally kidding. But he doesn't strike guys out. That's just not his game. He's a ground ball contact management machine, and he's on the right team for it. That elite gold glove-laden defense is perfect for Michaelis. He's been battling injuries for the last couple of years. He's back, looks healthy. I think he's going to have an excellent season. Hold for gold without a doubt. Sevy, he gets nooched, but this is okay. There's a nice little boost here. They dropped the Ks a little bit, but I like what I'm seeing out of Sevy so far. And I know I'm kind of repeating this a lot, but there's a lot of pitchers that it applies to. Health is the only thing that's going to stop Sevy. The talent is immense. This guy has diamond caliber talent. He just needs to stay healthy and get right. He'll be gold in no time, and then maybe summer diamond. Luis Garcia. Luis Garcia was an interesting guy in the fantasy world this draft season. I felt like he didn't really get any buzz after a brilliant season last year on a team that often does well with their pitchers. I mean, you could say it's sticky stuff, but again, you don't just make a pitcher out of thin air by giving him some sticky stuff. And he didn't even have sticky stuff last year, at least not for the second half, and he was still excellent. So I really like Luis Garcia. I definitely see him as a gold candidate as well. Jameson Taillon, he kind of goes in that Eovaldi Gossman group of guys that I've been rooting for years now. It feels like he's got 15 years in the league. Of course, that's not true, but I loved him back in his Pittsburgh days as a prospect. And then when he was kind of getting going, and he finally developed a third pitch, I was like, oh, he's gonna take that leap. And then he started with the injuries. The injuries really started to eat him up, and he's been battling. But I've been impressed with what I've seen out of him so far this year. I would definitely put him on the hold for gold train as well. Carrasco got in under the wire, man, because they locked the updates on Tuesday, and he got freaking trounced on Thursday. The Cardinals did him kind of dirty, and it happens. I'm not too worried about it. So he got his upgrade there. He can definitely go gold. Probably not a huge investment for me, though. It's a little volatile with his health right now. I mean, my man battled back from leukemia. He's an absolute stud. A little arm injury, a little elbow injury doesn't bother this guy. When you battle back from cancer, you're a fucking G through and through. So I love Cookie. I love rooting for him, but I'm a little bit tepid on his gold candidacy. He might be like a perfect silver. One of those guys that's like a 78, 79 most of the year. He might dip into gold. We'll keep tabs on him for sure, but not a heavy investment compared to some of these other guys that I've talked about. Just on this sheet alone, I'd rather invest in Kopech, Sandoval, Severino, and Garcia, and then I kind of put him with Taillon. They're both kind of similar. Tyler Mahle, my man can't pitch at home. He's a half pitcher. Remember how much anguish we went through last year? We were just desperately hoping that he would get a Tuesday start on the road somewhere and put up 8 strikeouts and finally get gold. And he eventually did, but oh my God, it was so much pain with Mahle, just going up and down and up and down. You see, he got plus 49 break. So they improved some of his pitches, or at least one of his pitches. So that's pretty cool. I really like him, but no, I would not invest for gold. I'm not doing it again. He's kind of the he's kind of the pitching version of Franmil Reyes. Although actually that's not fair because he actually got to gold. Franmil Reyes never gets to gold. But he's kind of a tease. Do not jump back in on Tyler Mahle this year. At least not yet. Maybe when he has a stretch of like 3 road starts in a row that marries right up with a roster update, maybe then we can get him there. But anytime he has home starts, he's going to get beat. Alex Wood, I mean, this guy even more so than all these other guys that we were talking about with the health. That is literally the only thing that will stop him. He has been good throughout his career. Health is the major factor that continues to stop him. He's an older guy now too, so I doubt he's going to find a ton of health. And I would be careful investing in him too strongly. Not because he's not good, but just because that health could pull the rug out from under you. Chris Paddock was persona non grata on my fantasy list this year. I had no interest in him. Even after he was traded to Minnesota and it was clear that he was going to have a starting spot, I still just wasn't interested. For me, Chris Paddock was a 2-pitch home run machine. I have since changed my opinion a bit. Watching him on the Tigers, well, I was on the Twins broadcast during the Tigers series because our broadcasters are a little bit boring, so I don't always watch them. So I kind of like to watch the road teams sometimes to see what they're doing. And they had an interview with Paddock, and I was super, super impressed listening to him talk about how he's been developing his curveball and how much he realizes that he's not going to get to the level that he wants without a true third pitch. And to his credit, he's been throwing it 21% of the time, which is a 9-point jump from last year. That's a legitimate third pitch. It has a 455 BABIP right now, so it's been a little bit unlucky, but he knows what he needs to do. And he even talked about maybe cultivating a slider or cutter for a fourth pitch. So I'm back in on Paddock as at least a fantasy player. As far as whether or not we like him for gold, not yet. I'm certainly not investing just yet because the strikeouts aren't really there and the hit rate isn't either. He's off to a good start, 368 ERA, 116 whip. But you see 16 hits in 14 and 2/3. If you're giving up a hit per inning, that's really going to make it tough to get gold. Kyle Gibson having a nice start to his season. He even did really well in Coors. Good for him. I don't really see gold, though. Tyler McGill is definitely a hold for gold. I love this guy, man. He made big waves very early in the season. Remember, he was the kind of unexpected spot start on opening day for Jacob deGrom, and then he went out and kind of looked like Jacob deGrom a little bit. That's tongue-in-cheek, of course, but he is awesome. He showed some stuff last year in his rookie year, brought it in this year, and looks every bit as good. I think there's a lot of upside with him. Definitely holding for gold here. I bought a bunch for silver. I'm not selling them yet. I'm just going to ride this out until we get gold. German Marquez, I'm surprised he only lost 1 point, to be honest. Waino lost a couple points. He's been a little up and down to start. Interestingly enough, his strikeouts, and you see he got a +2 there. The part of his game that's like never really there has been the only thing that's kind of going right now. He's going to be fine. He'll probably eventually get gold, but because with a guy like this, when you're kind of eliminating one of the big metrics that can get you to gold, and with pitchers, it's really the hits, Ks, and walks. Those are the big three that they're going to have. And when one of them is just kind of put off to the side, because I don't really believe he's going to maintain a 9.4 K on the year. Maybe I'm wrong, and we'll reassess if I am. But when you're kind of putting one off to the side, it puts so much burden on his hit and walk rates that it just becomes really difficult. Now, last year, he was so good that he had to get to gold. This year, though, I don't really see it. I would not invest in Adam Wainwright right now. And even looking at this 24% strikeout rate that he has, or 9.4 K9, he has a 6% swinging strike rate. Y'all, that's horrible. The league average is like 11%, and he's actually down 2 points from last year. So he's worse than he was last year. The strikeout rate is going to go back down. And so if the hits and walks don't improve, then he has no shot. Dylan Cease gets +1. He's awesome. He's definitely a gold candidate. If you want to invest now and just hold, that would be smart. Nasty Nestor, baby. 6 points. Very deserved here. Listen, they kind of played a little bit of wait and see. I thought it was a little raw to give him 71 coming into the season. And if you watched my preview videos, I definitely gave Nestor some big love. Like, hey, why did they give him a higher rating off rip? That's all right. They just wanted to see a little bit more. So he drops 15 and 2/3 of elite work and gets a fat upgrade here. My man's going to be going to gold soon if he keeps this up. And yes, I understand that he throws, 90 to 92 from the left side. He's not overpowering, but he's a finesse guy with amazing command, and he still gets his strikeouts even though he's not overpowering. I love this dude. He's so easy to root for. He's just kind of an everyman out there, being a badass, and he's a mustache goals too. I got this shit dirt stash. He's got that beautiful, beautiful soup strainer, and so I really, really like Nasty Nestor. Hyunjin Ryu goes down 1. I'll keep tabs on him, but I don't really see a reason to invest right now. It's a little too twisted, and things just aren't going that well. I don't really see anything to latch on to as to why we would invest right now. Tanner Houck, he's got great talent. But I do wonder if the Red Sox are going to kind of jerk him around a little bit with regards to his innings count, if he's going to be more of like a 4-inning type of guy for the most part, which puts a real big burden on him to have success. So there is gold upside here without a doubt, but I'm probably not jumping in right now. I've named so many other guys that I like more as far as investments that Houck is just too far down the list, and coming off of a downgrade. That will lower the price, but he now has to work that much harder to get back into gold contention. Ranger Suarez got hit here, and I get it. His skills have not been off the charts. I never thought he was going to be as good as he was last year, but I still think he's better than these numbers that we've seen so far this year. And similar to Jose Barrios, not quite as bad, but similar in that he is working off of a bad first start that is still really impacting his numbers. He gave up 3 runs on 5 hits and a walk in 2 2/3 in his season opener. And then Suarez, since then, has a 3.45 ERA, but the whip is way too high. It's at 1.53, even since that first start. So it's been a little uneven for him so far. I do think he'll get better, but I'm not investing right now. Zach Eflin +1. Nah, he's just kind of a finesse guy. There's no reason to invest. Klubat down 2, whatever. Tristan McKenzie. Now, this is my number 1 body comp in baseball. We are the same height and same weight. His nickname is Dr. Sticks, and you guys need to start calling me that from now on. I will accept nothing else. I'm just kidding, but he is a gold candidate. Now, he does fit that mold of injury being the main thing that can kind of undercut him. He's been injured a lot throughout his minor league career, and that is the one thing I am nervous about. And that was one thing that prospect folks were nervous about whenever they would write him up. They say, can Tristan McKenzie hold up to a full starter's workload with that body type? And I totally understand that. And that was a lot of the questions about Chris Sale for years. Of course, Chris Sale stayed healthy for like 8 years before he finally got hurt. So the people that were in on the Chris Sale would get hurt, you do not get to say, oh, I told you. Like, shut the fuck up. No, you did not tell us. You can't be correct 8 years later and then take the dub. McKenzie, however, has consistently gotten hurt, and it does look like maybe his body type is not cut out for 30 starts. At least now I know what I would look like if I pitched in the major leagues. Well, and if I was black, because I'm actually not black like Tristan McKenzie is. Ian Anderson drops 2. There's a lot of talent here. This was another guy. He was kind of similar to Molly, where we were waiting so much for him to go gold last year, and it seemed like every time he was on the cusp, things would go south. He'd have a bad start, and it was just like, come on, please get gold for us. And it just wouldn't happen. I would not invest in him right now. I just don't really see the reason. He's a good pitcher, but nah, I'm all good with Ian Anderson right now. Zach Greinke -2. He's doing his thing, but there's no reason to invest. I don't really see him getting back to gold. Now, I made this joke about Miles Mikolas, and then I said, no, I'm just kidding. He probably would. I don't know if Zach Greinke would strike me out. He has a 2.5 strikeouts per 9. That is horrendous. So I don't know. Maybe I get him. Man, Tariq Skubal, the defense yesterday. Again, recording this on April 29th. So I'm talking about the game from April 28th. So many errors that totally fucked his outing. Now, that doesn't show up in this update here because the roster update had already closed. But, oh my God, it was so frustrating to watch. For those that don't know, I'm a huge Tigers fan. And so I'm sitting there watching the game, and 3 errors in 1 inning. They did Skubal so dirty. I do think he has gold upside. Despite getting screwed yesterday, I've been really impressed with the fact that he has not allowed a homer yet. Last year, he was a home run machine. Righties absolutely destroyed him with the long ball. But so far, no homers. He's really showing some advancement. I think Tariq Skubal is a great hold for gold. Jormont, off to a decent start. The strikeouts really aren't there right now, and that's been a big issue for him. He does have some gold appeal, but it's further down the list. He's somebody I would, if I'm investing kind of fully in Skubal and Kopech and Sandoval and some of these other guys, I would do like half of that into Montgomery. So he'd be further down the list. I wouldn't quite go as hard, but I do think there's reason to invest in him if you are like me and you believe he can go gold at some point this year. It might take a lot longer, though, especially if the strikeouts don't come. Tony Disco, Anthony DeSclafani, he's off to a slow start. I'm not too worried about it, though, to be honest. I do implicitly trust San Francisco. As long as he's not hurt, I think he'll rebound, but it hasn't been great so far. Framberto has been walking the yard. He had like 9 walks in a 2-start stretch there, including like 5 against Arizona. Come on, you're walking Arizona like that? Give me a break. Merrill Kelly, speaking of Arizona, has been one of the big breakouts of the year so far. He had a plus 2 mile an hour velo bump in spring training. That has carried over, and he's been excellent. I do think there is some gold appeal here. It'll take a while. I think he probably is looking at like, not the next update, but the update after that, possibly. But I do like Merrill Kelly, and I'm going to hold my shares. I got in on him as a bronze. I'm going to ride it out here. Stroman -2. I mean, he's actually been really rough. He had the rough start in Coors, which you can excuse, but things have not been very good beyond that. Casey Mize is on the IL right now, -1. Nothing to see there. Eduardo's also been screwed by the defense. He himself has had some issues too. It's not just the defense, so I don't want to just give him a free pass, but I'm not too worried about him. Would I invest in him for gold? No, not right now. I would invest in Joe Ryan, though. I'm a huge Joe Ryan fan. He diced my Tigers up the other night. He looked incredible. And even though the Tigers' offense is not hitting that well, the way he was pitching that night, he would have dusted any team. He's an excellent pitcher. He's keeping the ball in the yard at a better clip this year so far, too. He gets strikeouts. He doesn't walk anybody. He had 4 walks on his opening day start, or his season debut, I should say, because he didn't start opening day. But he had 4 walks, and that is so uncharacteristic of him that he's only had 2 since then. And I don't know that he'll walk another 4 in a game the rest of the year. In fact, I'll bet that he won't. That's just so weird. I don't know how he had 4 walks in a game, but I do like Joe Ryan as a long-term hold for gold. Jesus Luzardo had that amazing first outing, and everyone was kind of overhyped on him. I still believe that there is breakout potential here, and I understand why he got a nice 4-point boost, but I did put a little bit of a wet blanket on that first start of his, and Patrick Sandoval, because they've squared off against each other in LA. And the way the setup was, it was a day game. And basically, and you've probably experienced this in MLB sometimes because it's a pain in the ass. The pitcher, the way where the shadow line was, the pitcher was completely in the sun, and the hitter they were in the shadows. So it really screws with you when you're kind of seeing the ball and it goes through the sun and then comes into the shadow, and it just totally messes you up. So I think he and Sandoval got a few extra strikeouts from that. Again, not undercutting his success. I think he has a legit breakout potential with some long-term hold for gold. But that first start, I was like, okay, on a normal day, he probably would have gotten, say, I don't know, 7 or 8 strikeouts instead of the 12 that he got, because the batters just had no chance against Luzardo and Sandoval that day. My boy Jose Urquidy has been brutal so far. I'm hanging on to him in fantasy, but I'm not investing in him in MLB The Show. Mad Bum down 1. Gonzo gets nooched. Until Gonzo stops walking, guys, he's just not going to move up. Zach Plesac is a standard streamer. He's got a better chance to go bronze this year than he does gold. Alex Cobb, just take everything I said for Alex Wood and apply it to Alex Cobb. The talent is absolutely there. You see the big velo boost. He had a massive velocity boost in spring training. He has carried it over, but then a groin injury trying to cover first base against the Mets put him on the IL, which sucks. So he's already gotten hurt. I love the talent. Once he comes back and he's healthy, I do think he is on the radar for gold, but if you're not willing to be patient because he'll probably hit the IL again at some point this year, then you probably shouldn't invest. Tyler Anderson gets switched over to starter because he's going to take over for Andrew Heaney, who's also on this list. It's really unfortunate about Heaney because he looked excellent in that first outing, and the first 2 outings, and we know how the Dodgers are. They're really good at cultivating pitchers too. He's always had talent, and it was like, yo, is he finally going to have the full-scale breakout? And then he freaking got hurt. So Tyler Anderson is going to be the beneficiary there. He's off to a sharp start himself. We see that the stamina gets hit there for -18. That might change, though. They might have to give those 18 right back because now that he's starting, we might see him going, 6+ innings regularly. He's never been one of those guys that only goes 4 innings as a starter, but as a reliever, he was primarily going 4 innings. So I don't really see gold potential necessarily, but I do see silver upside. I mean, he's only 1 point away, so I'm not really going out on a limb to say that. Kyle Wright, one of the big breakouts so far of this year. I totally believe in what he's doing, y'all. I'm 100% in on this. I do think he's got gold potential. I would even go so far as to say that there is diamond upside. This would be something that we'd be talking about in like August, though, not necessarily anytime soon. The gold, though, could happen by the third or fourth update of the season. So that's still, a month plus away, but I'm just holding my Kyle Wright shares for a long time because I really, really believe in what he's doing. This isn't some like out of nowhere guy either. He was a number 5 overall pick back in 2017. He had 70 major league innings under his belt to this point, which was like, that's a nothing sample. So the fact that some people are like, where did this Kyle Wright guy come from? What the hell are you talking about? This is an elite prospect who's finally getting an opportunity and panning out. It's not so much that it's like a late bloomer even. At 26, I know we're used to a lot of guys coming up at 22, 23 and being amazing immediately. He just wasn't that. And they always had options too. So maybe in a different world on a different team, he would have gotten the opportunity in his early 20s to just kind of work through everything at the major league level, but he also had some health issues. So anyway, bottom line is I think this is totally legit. I think he'll be silver next update. Hell, he might go gold next update, to be honest. We've seen them do that. They will go from high bronze to gold if the guy is pitching or hitting well enough. And I absolutely think Kyle Wright is somebody who can do that. So keep a close eye on him and definitely start investing now. Dylan Bundy's off to a nice start. I'm a little skeptical of it. He's not walking anybody and not giving up homers, both of which are excellent. Strikeouts aren't really there, though. I don't know. I've been teased by Dylan Bundy before. Remember in the 2020 shortened season, he was amazing. He actually went gold. He was somebody who did that. He went bronze to gold. Now, that was when they were doing super heavy investments because it was such a short season. They were doing massive upgrades. Even off of like a 2-week sample, they were bumping guys based off of what you would normally do for a month or more. So that's why he jumped up that much. But then he was dreadful again last year. So I'm nervous. I don't want to mess with Dylan Bundy. Trevor Rogers, I'm going to utilize this downgrade because it is deserved. I totally get it, but I'm going to utilize this downgrade to invest in him. I think he'll go back to silver at some point this year. I think he'll get all the way to gold, in fact. He's been a little bumpy, but he did go 6 innings on his last outing, which was yesterday, the 28th. 28th. And so he's getting everything back. Little bit of a slow start, kind of going 3-4 innings. He got killed by Philly. That outing just fell apart, too. If you watch that outing, it was like he's coasting, and then boom, something just turned and he fell apart. I think he's going to be fine. You can comfortably invest in Trevor Rogers, I think. Andrew Heaney, I already talked about him, like I said, until he comes back, which I think he's already been put on the 60-day IL, so there's no need to worry about him right now. I just hope he gets healthy. Steven Matz, we know who Steven Matz is. He's probably a high bronze with some low silver upside, but that's about it. So no real investment opportunity there. Michael Lorenzen is somebody I really, really like. They gave him a nice little boost here to his stamina and his hits per 9. We'll have to see how things develop with the strikeouts and the walks. The talent is there, though. My man throws like 6 unique pitches, which I don't even think you can get 6 pitches on MLB The Show. He does have kind of a kitchen sink approach. I wonder if he might benefit from kind of paring down a little bit and just focusing on like 3 or 4 pitches. But can't argue with the success so far. It's been really nice. I do think there's upside here. Definitely save for silver with some gold upside if the strikeouts start coming. Eliezer Hernandez, I just don't trust him in fantasy or MLB The Show investments. He's a home run machine. And while homer per 9 is not necessarily something that they really mess with all that much, it's going to hold him back because it's going to fuel bad outings. So it's not so much that you have to watch the homer 9 because, like I said, they barely ever touch that. It's just that the constant homers are going to be a problem for Eliezer. Quantrill goes down 3. He just doesn't have the strikeout capability to really push gold. So he might get back to silver. He actually had a really good outing yesterday against the Angels, a tough one, I should say, where he battled. When I say really good, I mean the way he battled was impressive. In fact, a couple of us in chat had a under bet on his pitches from Underdog, and I think it was 91 pitches. and he finishes the fifth with I think like 87 pitches. And we're like, oh well, that's gonna be it, because he'd walked a couple guys. Things were starting to go a little bit haywire in the zone. I was like, there's no way he's coming back. We're gonna cash this under. And that MFer came back out for the sixth and then dusted him. He actually had an excellent sixth. So I was like, okay, good battle there, Cal Quantrill, you jerk. Josiah Gray is kind of like Eliezer Hernandez, except better with the strikeouts, but he's a home run machine, and it just makes it really difficult to feel confident in him start to start. And he also walks too many guys too. So I could see him getting silver at some point this year, but I'd be really surprised if he pushes gold. Kyle Hendricks, he kind of is who he is. He's always been kind of a bronze pitcher who's lived in a gold silver world with that with his finesse and low velo. Things finally started to kind of catch up to him this last year plus. I don't really see too much here. Michael Wacha, I don't buy this, y'all. I'm just going to be flat out. 177 ERA, .93 whip. I do not buy it. JT Brubaker, solid pitcher. For Pittsburgh, I should say. Like relative to Pittsburgh, he's not too bad, but nothing really investment worthy. Hunter Green is a very exciting young pitcher, but he's going to be super volatile. I would not invest in this guy just because there's going to be so many ups and downs. He might time it right to get silver eventually. If things really start clicking, then we will reassess his gold potential. But right now, just enjoy the show and don't worry about investing. He gets Coolers tonight too, so we'll see how that goes. Cole Irvin is just kind of a finesse lefty. Nothing really to see there. Kikuchi -2, Chad Kuhl +2. So Chad Kuhl kind of pisses me off. I loved him in Pittsburgh, and he had nasty stuff, and I was always like, this guy has breakout potential. I really think he can be a stud. He's in Pittsburgh, which is a great park to pitch in, and it just never came together. And then injuries started to kind of come through and really derail him. So then he goes to Coors, and now he's a badass. I don't get it. What's going on? I don't believe it fully. And with Coors, you can never really fully believe it for a pitcher. So I'm going to be rooting for Chad Kuhl, but I'm not investing. Chris Flexen, basically a right-handed Cole Irvin. David Peterson, finesse lefty. Drew Smiley, Brad Keller, Bailey Ober, Adrian Hauser. Of this little quartet here, Bailey Ober is still very intriguing to me. He's damn near a Joe Ryan clone, right down to the fact that they give up a bunch of home runs but get a bunch of strikeouts. His strikeouts have been a little lower this year. He actually was dealing yesterday against the Tigers and then had a little bit of a groin tweak and had to leave early. So that part sucked. If he goes on the IL, obviously you don't want to be messing with that as far as an investment goes. But if it's just a little tweak and he's okay and he makes his next start, which he said he's going to, you can never really trust the player though, because they're always going to be optimistic, right? They never want to say they're hurt. They never want to, be negative about it. But keep tabs on Bailey Ober, because he definitely has silver upside. And if the strikeouts get back to where they were last year, then he has gold upside too. Brad Keller has been pitching well, but it hasn't really come with anything tangible for us in MLB The Show. He got a nice boost on all three I would say the hits and the BB9 are nice boosts, a little trickle on the K9, but he just doesn't miss enough bats to really move the needle. I think Brad Keller could eventually go silver this year with the way he's pitching. He's got that nasty sinker, some decent secondaries, but that's really the cap. So if you like micro investing, maybe he's a guy you go for, but I'd just as soon go for Bailey Ober over him because he actually misses bats. Adrian Hauser, things are kind of coming back to earth for him. Remember, he had like a crazy good ERA last year, but the skills just did not support it. He was one of those guys too that every week they'd be like, why didn't Adrian Hauser go up? He has a 3.20 ERA. I'm like, because he has a fucking like 190 whip. Shut up. Josh Fleming, finesse lefty, whatever. Strip and dip. This is just a position move. By the way, we're going to get to a guy in a little bit here in the closers who could eventually get moved over to SP. And if he does, I'm talking about Garrett Whitlock, he would get like 4, 5, 6 points just moving positions. So he would definitely be a gold at that point. Plus, I already like him as a hold for gold. I'm talking about Garrett Whitlock there. Strip only got the position change. He is off to a decent start. I've been a big fan of his in the past. The problem is the cap is really silver. Jordan Lyles, nothing really to see there. Bruce Zimmerman has been interesting. And in fact, a lot of Orioles pitchers have been pitching pretty well. Part of it's the park change. They moved their left field fence back quite a bit and raised it up. The only problem is well, there's also the dead ball too. The only problem is that like I don't know how much I believe it, and particularly with Zimmerman, he is a terrible fastball guy. He has a dreadful fastball, and unless he stops throwing it a lot less, or starts throwing it a lot less, starts throwing it a lot less, I still think he's going to be volatile. This start is excellent for him, but I am a little bit nervous about the Bruce Zimmerman situation right now until he figures out that he should not be throwing his fastball like at all. And by the way, I did forget that Garrett Whitlock did already go gold, so if he gets moved to SP, then he could put him in to Diamond. Pardon me on that. I did glance over there at chat and saw that. My bad. Justin Steele, man, Cubs fans, help me out. Does this guy suck? Because I've only watched him a couple times, but I've been intrigued by his stuff. I feel like he's got some decent raw stuff, but then the numbers just aren't there. So I'm going to keep tabs on him. I'm not saying there's no investment opportunity here or anything. I feel like he should be better than he is, though. I don't know. Jake Odorizzi, a guy I've been a fan of for years, but I think he's a little bit cooked. He's kind of a 5-and-dive bronze type. Nick Lodolo is awesome. I'm so bummed that he went on the IL. Another impressive rookie, along with Hunter Green, though, that's going to be volatile. And plus, he's already on the IL, so don't invest in him already. But the fact that his stuff is pretty good. Once he comes back, we can look at him as a potential save for silver. But for now, no need to worry about it. Reed Detmers would probably fit in that category too. I really, really like Reed Detmers, and I do think there's massive upside here, but it's probably later season upside. So keep him on your watch list, or even if you want to invest right now, I'm sure the price is cheap. Treat it like, I think I made the analogy on Tuesday, like a savings bond, where you just get a bunch, put them off to the side, and just don't worry about them, and because they can't really hurt you. If you get 50 Reed Detmers, and then things don't go so well, he's not going to go down to a common, I don't think. Famous last words. But I do think there is some major upside. And so just put him off to the side, and then we'll check in on him down the line. I guess you could do that with Lodolo and Green, too, because they are cheap as bronzes. But I will say, if your expectations are for them to pay off relatively soon, you're going to be disappointed. Nick Pivetta, I do not understand why the fantasy community was getting hyped on him again this year. Like, how many times do you have to learn? Taylor Hearn, intriguing lefty, but way too volatile. Paul Blackburn is kind of a better Bruce Zimmerman right now. I mentioned how Bruce Zimmerman is having some really interesting things come together for him, but has that terrible fastball. Blackburn has a better fastball. He's added 2 miles an hour velo to it, and I think there's some real upside here with Paul Blackburn. He was a legit prospect for for Chicago, the Cubs, way back when. I think he's 27, 28 right now, so it's kind of a post-hype situation. Oakland is pretty good at cultivating pitchers, and they have that great stadium. I like Paul Blackburn. I think he's a save for silver. Daniel Lynch +3. Daniel Lynch is an intriguing rookie. I would put him in the Detmers, Green, Lodolo class. Kyle Freeland, Patrick Corbin, Dalton Jeffries, nothing to really see there. Matt Brash, put him in that same Detmers class. Like, he's super nasty, dude. He's got excellent stuff, but he doesn't really harness it that well. So the teams that will be patient with him are going to drive his walk rate up. I don't really think he can get much beyond silver right now because of his walk rate. Carlos Hernandez, as a starter, could not strike me out. As a reliever, would strike everybody out 1,000 times. I don't know what it is. Yes, it's harder to pitch as a starter than it is as a reliever, but it shouldn't be this split. He has like a 5 K9 as a starter and then like 13 as a reliever. It is wild for Carlos Hernandez. Roansy Contreras will eventually be back up, and he goes in the Detmers, Lodolo, the rookie class. We'll call it the rookie class because they are rookies. Perez, Davies, Martinez, nobody really interesting here. Obviously, at the lower tiers, I'm only going to dive in on guys that really are intriguing. Keller added a ton of velo, y'all, but the last start was the first time that it actually paid some dividends. So until we really start seeing him put some numbers on the board, there's nothing to see here. Tyler Beatty just changed position. If he gets a starting job, I'm interested. But until then, no thanks. I don't know why Palante got a position change. He's been exclusively relieving. This doesn't make any sense to me. But Cardinals fans in chat, including especially Eric, have been on the Palante train from day one. So I'm keeping a close eye on him. My boy Glenn Otto only got +6. I think he got done dirty. Oh, wait, no. It's actually higher than I had him. Never mind. I undersold my boy Glenn Otto. I thought I had him higher than that. No, I put him up to a 60, and they put him to 62. That's why. It's because it's only position change. They actually didn't update him at all. He has no season stats? That's not true. He started twice. Anyway, I like Glenn Otto. I put him down as a bronze potential, but keep an eye on him. There could be some interesting summer growth from him. Alexi and Reaver San Martin, what are these positions? How did he get updated? Oh, wow, +10 on the BB9. Okay, whatever. Anyway, that's starters. This is going to take literally forever. These are the new starters. Nothing to see there. I love Anibal, but I guess the good thing about Anibal is they can bring back the Tigers flashback. So I am intrigued by that. Relievers, Devin Williams loses 2. No surprise there. He's been pretty rough. Tepera gets nuked. Tepera does have gold potential. He's a 79, right? I don't really have to say when a 78 or 79 has gold potential. Like, no shit, Paul. Of course they do. So, I will tell you if I don't like their chances. How about that? Otherwise, you should assume that a 78, 79 is a hold for gold potential unless I say otherwise. So Hudson, Loop, Javier, they all definitely have it. Okay, here's the factors. If they got upgraded and they're a 78, 79, they are obviously a hold for gold. So that's the rubric that we're going to use here. Christian Javier could be one of those guys who gets gold just by moving the starter, though. He started his last time out, and if he's in the rotation more permanently, then he's going to go gold just by moving to SP. But I also believe that his talent can push him to gold as well. So I really like Christian Javier. Remember last year I kept saying that they were going to put him in the rotation for Luis Garcia because I thought they would want to save Garcia's innings. They never did that until finally this year, but it wasn't for Garcia. They're going 6-man right now. But if Odorizzi keeps sucking, then I think Javier will just stay in the rotation, and then Odorizzi will either go in the bullpen or get DFA'd. Chad Green does get trounced here because he's off to a rough start. I mean, he does have gold potential because he was there, but he's been really rough this year. I don't know. Yankees fans might be able to enlighten us as to what's going on, but he's been brutal. Victor Arano +4. I haven't really seen anything from Victor Arano this year, so I don't want to say hold for gold because I haven't seen him. AJ Minter goes up. Minter does have gold potential. We know he can be super nasty, and he has been so far this year. So one thing I will say, one caveat with relievers. If you're not patient as an investor, do not invest in relievers because they pitch so few innings. It takes a long time. SDS wants to see some real quality work over a decent period of time with them so they can be really challenging. I remember the one that we had that took freaking forever and we all just kept adding to our stock was Tommy Kahnle, the year that he broke out with the White Sox and then the Yankees. It took forever, and then finally we got it. But yeah, relievers are only for the patient investors. I think Brooks Raley has gold upside this year. I know Foolish Baseball was keen on him too in his top 5 pitchers to watch this year. He's coming over from Houston. He probably should have been better with Houston last year. His underlying skills were excellent, but his ERA was too high. And obviously ERA doesn't matter for our purposes, but I think the skills are really, really sharp. I wouldn't be surprised if Raley goes gold. I also wouldn't be surprised if Michael King goes gold. We saw him get supercharged for that amazing 8 strikeout relief outing. He's got a Topps Now diamond that looks fucking amazing, and I really, really like him. Tired is Chad Green. Wired is Michael King. Eric Swanson pitching his ass off out of the bullpen right now. This is pretty intriguing because he gets a 5-point boost here. And if he keeps pitching like this, he absolutely has gold upside. I don't know if he's going to continue like this, but I'm impressed. Yimmy, he's been okay. Nothing to see there. Rafael Montero, somebody I've liked since his Mets prospect days. And I was really surprised that Texas didn't give him the closer's job last year. It seemed like they were looking for a closer, and he was just staring them right in the face like, hey, guys, I'm here. Or maybe it was the year before. Either way, I like Rafael Montero a little bit. I think there's some fringe gold upside, but he's 5 points away. So you got to be very, very, very patient when they're that far away. Trevor Richards goes up 1. Trevor May goes down 4. Dude, Trevor May is the best. I love this guy, dude. Friend of the channel. The other day, I forget exactly what I had said on a tweet about how, like, oh, nobody's giving up homers this year. And then Trev comes in with this gif of like this, I'm sure it's somebody super famous from the 40s or whatever, and I'm a loser for not knowing exactly who she is, but comes in with this girl like doing the big hair flip back, and it says, "You rang" underneath it, and like roasting himself, and it just had me fucking cracking up. He's only allowed 2 homers, but in 6 innings, that's a lot, and they've been pretty clutch, so it was pretty funny that he can make fun of himself. Trevor May is a great person. If you don't follow him on Twitch, you're missing out. He's a real good dude. I don't know how much he streams during the season, but you should just follow him anyway because he's a badass. Matt Whistler does have the skills to eventually go gold, but let's get him to silver before we worry about that. And then with the relievers, we will start to go a little bit faster once we get in the bronze tier here. My boy Johnny Lasagna, again, Yankees fans, can you enlighten us as to what the fuck happened with Chad Green and Jonathan Loaizaga, because it's been rough for both. I love Johnny Lasagna, and he has been brutal. I do like that the Ks are still up there. Maybe it's just a few too many walks and hits. Maybe the command is off a little bit. I wouldn't invest right now because we're now 7 points from gold. But I will say I'm still drafting him every time he comes up in BR because they really fixed his card as far as his pitch repertoire. Last year it sucked. This year it's awesome. So I still love Johnny Lasagna from that standpoint. Michael Fulmer +6. I'll stop when I find somebody I really care about. Ryan Helsley is somebody I care about. This dude has filthy stuff. And you see here, +7. That is a big, big jump. And healthy boosts across the board there. If he keeps striking out guys at a 17.1 K per 9 clip, that strikeout rate is going to go up into the 80s easily. He also hasn't walked anybody yet. Obviously, they can only move him up a little bit, off of 6 in the 3rd innings. But if the walk rate stays too, I would say Helsley actually has some summer gold potential. If you want to get in now while the getting's really cheap and just put him off to the side, I think that's a good idea. Stelmont, I like him. Like, he's got good swing and miss stuff, but he walks the yard. JP Fireisen, he came over in the Drew Rasmussen deal last year, and I kept waiting for him to kind of start clicking because I knew Tampa Bay, this was the Adames for Rasmussen Fireisen trade, a win-win deal. And Rasmussen was panning out, but I was like, why isn't Fireisen good yet? But he's a reliever. Relievers are volatile, and so far this year he looks great. I would actually say Fireisen has some fringe gold upside this year too. Like Helsley, you can just put a bunch off to the side and wait for, 2-3 months. Who cares? It won't hurt you, right? If you're spending double-digit stubs on a guy and you're getting 50 of him, that's just not going to hurt you, and the upside is still pretty good. Aaron Bummer, yeesh. 8 walks already. That is rough. And by the way, that kind of undercuts his potential as a BR player. Unless you're really good with pinpoint, which I am not. I did convert this year, though. I finally got on the train. I probably should have done it last year, but I was super impatient. Every time I started to struggle, I was like, fuck this. Then I'll go back to analog. But this year I've committed to it. I am getting better, but I'm still not what you would call good. So somebody with a 42 BB9 would be very scary for me. Ian Kennedy goes down, Wendelkin. Keegan Thompson's really interesting. I actually just wrote him up in an article over at Fangraphs about somebody who you might want to pick up in a deep fantasy league. He's getting the extended multi-inning relief role. So he's going like 2, 3, 4 innings at a time, and he's been pretty good. I'd like to see the strikeouts tick up a little bit more, but Keegan Thompson might be onto something here. He gets a very healthy 7-point boost. I think he's a good save for silver. I would stop short of gold right now. I don't have him in that Helsley or Fireisen tier just yet, but I am intrigued by Keegan Thompson for sure. Evan Phillips got a fucking boost, y'all. I had him down for 9 points, and I thought that was aggressive. I wonder if they did take into account how good he's been since joining the Dodgers last year, too, because it wasn't that many more innings, but it was another like 7 or 8 innings on top of what we've seen so far this year, and he has been amazing. So they also improved his pitch stuff, so he's now a bit more usable in BR as well as like a, secondary reliever deep in your bullpen, because now with the way stamina is, I know they fixed it a bit, but it's still tough. You need your fourth, fifth, sixth relievers to be something worthwhile if you're going to make a full 12-0 run. Not that I would know. I've not made a 12-0 run this year, but just from observations. But yeah, Evan Phillips is interesting. I would actually maybe give him a little bit of that Fire Eyes and Helsley love. Just put a bunch off to the side. I got a handful as a common, and I'll just wait. Simber, Will Crow. Will Crow is a friend of the community. I don't know him directly, but I know he's friends with Daddy Dimmu, and seems like a really good guy too. So I always root for him. Anytime you find out a player is actually a good dude, you're like, oh, I'm gonna root a little extra for him. And he's up to a very nice 69. I do think he could get to silver if he continues to pitch like this. Silver is absolutely in the cards for Crow. Column A gets position change from CP to RP. Phillips Valdez, we actually had him on the list as a potential bronze, and I undersold him. I said 65. They said, nah, how about 68? And he gets a nice jump. If he keeps pitching like this, then yes, there is silver potential. My boy Mitch White hasn't been that great yet. He gets a 1 point love. I love Mitch White, though. I really think that there's massive upside here. I could see him becoming one of those silver gods out of the bullpen eventually this year, and I'll probably have some just kind of stowed away. Brusdar Gratterall. I wonder how many pitchers would kill to have Brusdar Gratterall's stuff, because it is amazing, and yet I just don't think he uses it that well. I don't understand why his strikeouts are so mediocre. Like, 8.1, that sucks. Like, it's not good. And so I just don't get it. I know he's a big sinker guy, so a lot of times you don't need strikeouts when you've got that much sink on a 100-mile-an-hour sinker, but he should be able to do both. He should have like a 15 K9 while also getting all the ground balls in the world and just being an absolute god. I don't quite understand why Gratterall is just kind of mediocre. Johan Duran is awesome. They increased his stuff quite a bit. He gets a healthy 9-point boost. I had him down going up to 65. Again, I undersold him. I'm happy to be wrong when I'm on the when I undersell a guy. It's when I go too high that I feel bad. But Johan Duran, put him in the Helsley Fire Eisen tier. Somebody that I'm holding and just keeping off to the side for a long time. I'm not going to sell my shares going common to bronze. That's not really going to pay off. I want to hold on and see if he can actually go silver and gold. Nobody else here that's really jumping out. Steven Wilson was somebody we talked about. San Diego's always had a reputation for cultivating relievers, and he might be their next good one. He's been really good. I could see silver, but that's probably about it. Justin Lawrence got an interesting jump. 11 K9. I do like that, but he's a Colorado guy, so you're never going to find me investing in a Colorado pitcher. 10 points for Spencer Strider, and his stuff gets improved. Now he's at least BR viable, so we like that. I had him only going to a 62. I was a little nervous because I thought that the walk rate might prevent him from going up too high, but as you can see, the hits got that massive boost, and it offset a -10 on his BB9. That's really the issue right now, though, is he needs to curb the walks, or else it's going to kind of really cap how high he can go. I would say that he does have some silver upside, but he's only going to go as far as those walks take him. Nobody else this is another good body comp for me. And he also wears glasses, so he kind of looks even more like me than Tristan McKenzie, which inherently makes him a good pitcher. Brock Burke, I had him going up to a 60 from 47. He goes all the way up to 63. I mean, he's just been bananas. And I haven't really investigated him too deeply to see if there's some pitch mix changes or a velo boost or what. But if he keeps pitching like this, he'll be a silver in no time. Straight from the Rucka. Felix Bautista, Jacob Junis. Okay. Oh, wait. Yeah, no, that's fair. That's fair. I was going to say, why did he go down? I get it. Because he is in that followers role, which means a starter comes out for like 2 innings and then passes it off to Junis. I will say, though, I'm very intrigued by Junis. He had his first outing against Washington where he displayed a really interesting changeup that we had never seen before. The problem with Junis has always been all he has is one pitch. He has a great slider and then nothing else. His fastball sucks. And then it's like, well, what are we going to do here? Wait, why is he not showing on the roster on Baseball Reference? Was he sent down? Anyway, not important right now. But that changeup looked incredible, and so if that changeup is legit, I think San Francisco has their next big find with Jacob Junis. He didn't throw the changeup very much against Oakland. Nick Pollock actually reached out to him on Twitter, though, to ask him. I surmised that it was because Oakland only had two righties, or lefties, excuse me, and they suck shit. You usually throw changeups to the opposite hand to kind of keep them off pace. And you can throw same-handed changeups. If it's good enough, then you can definitely throw it to either side. But I was like, did he really need to? He still pitched really well. So he went and asked him. And basically what Junis said was he really likes his new changeup. And it was working very well against Washington. But between the two outings, he had different catchers, Joey Bart and then Kurt Casale. And Kurt just wasn't really calling it against Oakland, probably because he saw what I saw, which was they suck and they only have two righties. So that's why he didn't throw it a bunch. I'm going to be really keyed in to see how he does against the Dodgers. Obviously, that's a very difficult outing, but if he goes off against them and starts throwing that changeup again, then I think that they have their next big breakout. So I'm kind of in on Junis. He's going to be cheap enough to invest in right now, especially now that he's going down to a common. This could be a nice sneak tip that eventually pays off down the line. Anthony Ghost, this is the same guy that you might be remembering from years ago as a fourth outfielder type. Remember, he was a fourth outfielder because of his defense. He had a great arm, so it would make sense that he's now pitching. Dude throws like a hundo, man. He can really bring it. There is some upside here, but not really investment worthy because I think he's probably a high bronze at max. Nobody else really jumping out here. If there's somebody I'm missing, chat can let me know that, no, Ricky Vanasco is so sick, dude. You're missing it. But I don't think so. I think we're good here on the relievers. Colin Poche wasn't in the game. Why? Anyway, here's the new relievers. Nobody really to see there. Let's go to the closers. Bo Sulcer's the only new closer. He is related to Cole Sulcer. We're on closers, and we've probably already been going for like 7 hours. Josh Hader +2. Iglesias goes diamond easily. He's been amazing. Last year's breakout, not really breakout, but last year's like ascent into diamond was legit. They wanted him to prove it, and he did exactly that. Hendricks has been a little wobbly, and he's got a little bit of a, I think, back issue right now. He'll be fine. I don't think he's going to lose diamond at least for a while, but, there's no real investment opportunity either way, but just be careful. Kenley Jansen up 2. I think he'll eventually go back diamond this year. You can start investing in him. Taylor Rogers was somebody I've been investing in from the jump this year. Really, really like what we've seen out of him. He's been excellent in San Diego so far. I had him going up to an 83. Definitely a hold for diamond potential. Edwin Diaz. We know the volatility of Diaz. If you want to get in on that, you be my guest. But I'm going to pass. Erroneously, is that the right word? Incorrectly, let's just use words I actually know, suggested that Garrett Whitlock wasn't gold yet, forgetting that he did in fact get there. But I did mention that if he continues to start and gets moved over to SP, then he's probably going to move up to like an 84 immediately just by going to SP, maybe even diamond. I don't know, but I think he would absolutely move up to a high gold at that point. I love Garrett Whitlock. He is awesome. Remember, he's a Rule 5 guy from the Yankees. Nice move, Yankees, you fucking dumbasses. Get smoked, Yankee fans. I'm just messing around. It's just easy to pick on the Yankees. They're like the Kings. So no one feels bad for them ever. But they let Whitlock get Rule 5'd, and now he goes from Rule 5 pickup to a multi-year contract. Absolute beast with the Red Sox. They're using him all over the place. He's been the closer for at least one outing. You got to save. He's been a middle inning relief guy for 4 or 5 innings at a time, and he's been a starter. If they just set him and forget him as a permanent starter, I think he's an absolute stud. I do believe he has diamond potential this year. If he stays as a reliever, I think he has diamond potential, but obviously that would take a lot longer. I'm in on the Garrett Whitlock train, and I'm just staying invested for the long haul right now. Kittredge goes gold. I really like him. I believe in him, but I think he maxes at gold. Now he might move up a little bit within the gold tier, but I don't really see diamond for him. My boy Gallegos gets a little hit here, -2. I get it, but I still really like him. I'll probably see where his price goes off of this and at least jump in on a little bit. I'm just a huge Gallegos fan, and I don't think the strikeouts are going to stay at 6.4 per nine this year, so I still like him. I'm not going to recommend him as a big investment right now. It's more of a personal thing. If you want to tail me on that, by all means, but I'm not putting my full stamp of approval behind him because this is more me playing favorites than it is somebody that's pitching really well right now. So just keep that in mind. I was actually surprised that Jordan Romano got nooched. What the heck? I did not see that coming. I think I had Romano going up to 80, and I guess I was wrong, obviously, but I don't know. You know what it is? I think I kind of mentioned this a little bit earlier when we were talking about somebody else's strikeout dip or gain. I don't remember. 10.5 strikeouts cost him K9. And I guess my scale was just a little bit off. I thought he was actually going to go up in Ks. Instead, he goes down. I knew he would get improved in the walk rate because he had 2 walks in 10 1/3. So, again, I got to readjust my strikeout scale. That's on me. I'm not going anywhere, though. This is an easy hold for gold. I actually think he's a diamond candidate at some point this year, especially if the walk rate holds. If he continues to not walk guys, I think he's a big strikeout guy. I think he'll be one of those studly diamond closers. I love Jordan Romano. Health is an issue with him, but it's not going to stop me from investing. Neris gets the closer's role right now because Ryan Presley's hurt. Bednar does have gold upside. He's pretty sneaky solid. Because he's on the Pirates, I don't think anyone's paying attention. But yeah, he does have hold for gold potential. Bednar and Bender here together. He's been wobbly. If Dylan Floro comes back healthy, I think he's going to rip that job from Bender. That doesn't really matter for our purposes. You can go gold as a closer or as a reliever. It doesn't really matter. But if you are in fantasy, I'd be a little bit nervous. I mean, you've gotten 4 saves, so you should feel pretty happy about that. But that train might be derailed at some point soon. Nobody really jumping out. Tanner Waney, my dog's favorite pitcher. If you don't follow the channel that much, saying Tanner Rainey's my dog's favorite pitcher makes absolutely no sense to you, and I understand that. That's fair. He's been gold before. Let's get him to silver before we worry about gold, and let's see more than 6 innings with the 1 walk. But it is something at least intriguing to keep an eye out for. Jorge Lopez, there they go. They got that velo boost. My man is throwing 98 off his sinker right now. That is hot. All respect to Jorge Lopez. I could see him getting silver. I don't know about gold, but I guess if he keeps missing bats like that, then he could get there. All right, we are into the position players now. We're starting at catcher. No new catchers of note. Sorry, Christian Bethencourt. I just don't really care about you joining the game. Sal Perez gets, actually the top 3 catchers get nooched. These 2 are obviously diamond candidates. Again, when you're 1 or 2 points away from a level change, you're obviously a candidate to go up if you perform at a certain level. I'm not really investing in either of them, but maybe the price is right. I'd have to reassess. I don't know where they're at. This was definitely coming. I knew this one. I don't do downgrade predictions, but anyone could have seen this one coming for Grandal. I'm not too surprised. Once he gets going, though, y'all, we know the kind of torrid pace that he can go on. Go for Grandal in the second that we start to see things turn around. Wilson Contreras gets a little boost up to gold. He's been great. I don't really see diamond upside, though. Yachty could lose gold with the next update. His defense can only protect him so much. Travis d'Arnaud, I mean, he's hitting very well to start the season. Health has always been a problem for him. He does have gold upside, but I'm not going to invest because I don't trust his health. Sean Murphy only gets 1 here. I get it. Not everything's quite working right now, but the power is there. There is upside. There is gold potential, but he's a volatile type player, so don't go crazy. Elias Diaz gets nooched. The best chance for him to go gold is to have a roster update timed perfectly with a homestand where he hits like 6 homers. So if we see that, we'll jump in. Otherwise, no need. T-Stat, man, I love this guy. I don't think Luke Voigt's slide was dirty. I know that his arms kind of came down on his head like that. I don't think it was malicious, though. I really, really don't. What are you going to do with, I don't know. It's really easy to slow everything down to milliframe by milliframe and be like, what is he doing there? I would have done this. Bitch, shut up. You wouldn't have done shit. You'd have gotten steamrolled by Tyler Stevenson. Okay? I don't want to hear it. So it sucks that Luke Voigt did that. And he turned instantly and he felt, you could tell, he's like, oh, dude, I'm so sorry about that. Like, I wasn't trying to hurt you or anything. So I hope Tyler Stevenson's okay. He's still on the concussion IL. Once he comes back, though, he's absolutely a hold for gold. Jonah Heim has been excellent. Congrats to him having a baby, too. Obviously, his wife is having the baby. But he's on paternity leave right now. That's the only reason I know that. I like Jonah Heim. I think there is some upside here if he continues to play pretty regularly. Now, the thing of it is they do have Garver, but Garver's not a very good catcher. So Garver DHing, Heim catching can keep him in the lineup, and there is gold potential. Tom Murphy, fake player, +3. Speaking of Garver, he goes down 1 because he's been struggling. Of course, they're still going to play him, though. You know, it's not like they're going to bench him. It's a slow start. I'm not too worried about it. Max Stassi, this guy's a favorite of mine, too. I really think he can get going. That lineup is stout. And eventually, it could trickle down to where, they're trying to pitch around all these stars, and then it leaves a lot of meatballs for Stassi down there in the middle, back end middle of the lineup, and he can go ham. Somebody just pulled Trout here, and he's in the chat, and he's losing his mind. Way to go, Marcos. Roberto Perez. Fuck Roberto Perez. I guess I should explain that. I don't have any animus toward real-life Roberto Perez, even though real-life Roberto Perez has screwed me over a whole bunch. You see he's hitting 196 on Underdog. Underdog is a betting site, and they do these over-unders, like over-under a half a hit for a day. So basically, will you get a hit or will you not? And I bet against Roberto Perez every day because why the hell wouldn't I? He's a terrible hitter. He got hits in 5 straight games to start the season and screwed me out of the bets every single time. Horse shit. Austin Nola -1. Once he gets going, there is gold upside, but he's 4 points away. I would not invest right now. Francisco Mejia. Can Mejia play enough? I guess, Zunino actually just got hurt. If this is a long-term situation for Zunino and Mejia is playing daily more often, he has the bat. Remember, he's a bat-only kind of catcher. He's not a very good defender. He's got a decent arm, but that's it. There could be some gold upside. I would not invest, though. Kyber Ruiz gets there to silver. He could go gold, but there's not a whole lot of power yet, and I'm not sure if it's going to develop this year, so I would not necessarily invest in Kyber Ruiz right now. Eric Haas gets to silver. Good for him, but that's where that ends. Mike Zunino comes down from silver to bronze because he's not very good. James McCann gets snooched. Austin Hedges, another guy who I bet consistently against. He has not burned me the way Roberto Perez has. Austin Hedges has been doing his thing and almost never getting hits. Carson Kelly and Gary Sanchez, they're not bad players, but they're hitting like shit right now. MJ Melendez, damn, they give him love off of the minors. Is this the first minors update we've ever seen? They're like, nah, we did him too dirty. He was so good last year, we got to give him a little love, even though he's not in the majors yet. Yo, that's kind of hot. I respect that because he had an insane season last year at the minor league level. In fact, he did so well that they've started to play him at other positions in case he goes off again this year and they can get him up to the majors. I will say he's off to a brutal start. As good as he was last year, he's equally as bad so far this year. At AAA, in 44 games, Melendez had a 170 WRC plus, which means he was 70% better than league average. So far this year, he has a 52. Yikes. Joey Bart -2. Meh. Zach Collins +4. Zach Collins, you want to talk about a all-hit, no-glove catcher like Mejia. Collins exemplifies that even more. He couldn't catch, to save his life, really. He is catching right now because Danny Jansen's hurt, but he's also DHing. They're playing Kirk at catcher and then and letting Collins DH. That's some real confidence is not the word I'm looking for. Actually, maybe it is. I don't know. That's a big endorsement is what I'm trying to say. I do think Zach Collins could get to silver. If he continues to play like that, we have to see what happens when Jansen comes back. If Collins continues to play DH consistently, Those of you who remember that gold prospect card from the White Sox from a couple years ago, this is that Zach Collins, and he can swing it, man. He's got major pop. Calder, the reason they still gave him a boost, even though he's struggling in the minors, is because his numbers were too low to represent what he was coming into this year, and 83 plate appearances does not change that. Going over to first base, Matt Davidson, J.J. Matajevic, Gabe Snyder, and Chad Spang. I almost said Corey Spangenberg because that's that other guy. Chad Spanberger. Vlad is a god. That's all that needs to be said there. Freef will eventually go 90 plus. Matty O probably will too. Interesting that they're right next to each other. Rizzo. Listen, I only had Rizzo for an 80. I'm sorry. He hit 4 homers from the time that I did my update list to the time the update closed. So I couldn't have known. Obviously, I knew he was going to go gold, and I would have told y'all that he was going to go higher after that, but he hit 4 homers after I locked my list. But either way, it's not like I hurt. It's not like you weren't already invested in him because we knew he was going gold no matter what. It's just now he's on the cusp for diamond. And he has a dachshund, so he's automatically a great person. Max Muncy, -2. He's been sputtering. It's almost as if that elbow is a problem. I think he hit like an early home run, and the people who drafted him were really taking their early victory laps. Like, see, this is why I drafted him. I don't know why nobody was on him. It's like, okay, well, I'm not going to take a victory lap based off of 58 at-bats, but they shouldn't have done it off of like 5 at-bats. I was worried about the elbow this year, so I took a pass on Max Muncy. I was like, I root for him. He's a fun player, but I am not drafting him in fantasy with that elbow hanging on by a thread. Abreu down 1, Goldie down 1. Obviously, both these guys are studs. They can get hot and pop off. The interesting thing is that Goldie goes down. He's not having a bad year. He just hasn't gotten into his power yet. So between the two, I would invest in Goldie, not Abreu. Yo, Ty France with the healthy boost. I love Ty France, dude. Of course, we knew he was going to go gold. I actually had him for an 80, and they put him at an 83. So if you invested, again, this is where the new quick sell stuff is very important because those extra points in previous years wouldn't have mattered because we'd just be like, okay, whatever. But now, going from 78, where the quick sell was 125, to 83, the quick sell is 1,200. So that's a big deal. Look who's here. Hello, guys. It's me, Charlotte. And hopefully you went to SharInvestments.com. I had Anthony Wizzo up to an 84 because he's got a dog named Kevin who is my best friend, and he told me what his dad was going to go up to. Go to SharInvestments.com. It's only $500 a day. Don't be a loser. Thank you. Goodbye. All right. Our intrepid correspondent, Charlotte. If you guys are paying her $500 a day for her tips, like, you're insane. But I know, I saw that she has like 300 subscribers. So you guys are absolutely insane for that. I just don't get it. Josh Bell goes +4. Josh Bell, man, he actually had a really good year last year. It was a little bit hidden by the slow start, and that's what a slow start can do. If you're bad for 6 weeks into the season and then you really get going, it can really be covered for a long time. It can take you a long time to kind of turn those numbers around. So if you didn't have him on your fantasy team, or if you're not a Nats fan, you just might have missed the fact that Josh Bell was kicking ass in the second half, and he's carried that over. I think Josh Bell has some diamond intrigue, y'all. I'm going to be investing in him. Pete Alonso's off to like a slow-ish start. I'm not worried about this at all. In fact, I kind of hope the -1 lowers his price because I think he's got a great diamond chance this year. Crone's been awesome. We knew he was going to go gold. Can he go diamond? I don't really think so, y'all. Like, this is his hot streak. He's got a little bit of Jonathan Scope to him, where when he gets going, he's hot for like 2-3 weeks. But then when he gets ice cold, I could strike him out. And he has that going for 2-3 weeks. Like, it's those kind of ups and downs. And then the bottom line is usually like a solid 30-homer season. So I like Crone, but I think he's just a solid gold. Gurriel -2. That makes sense. He hasn't been very good. Jared Walsh -1. I like Jared Walsh. I do think he'll be better than this, but I wouldn't invest. Brandon Bell gets nuked. Took him horns. Mountcastle down 2. Mountcastle's already starting to turn things around. I did I did take the Wall move seriously though, and so I didn't get him in fantasy this year. He was a guy I liked in the fall, like coming into the season, and then they made that big change, and I was like, for a right-hander, that's tough. So I passed. Aguilar's off to a brutal start. He can turn it around. He's got good power, but I wouldn't invest right now. No need to. Trey Mancini -1. Another guy, when he gets hot, he's awesome. Pujols just destroys lefties. That's all he does. Hoskins -2, slow start. Another guy, he's like Crone and Mancini. When these guys get locked in, they are untouchable for 2, 3, 4 weeks at a time. But when they struggle, again, anybody can get them out for 2, 3, 4 weeks at a time. So you got to kind of catch that right wave. I know a lot of people have been thinking that like Hoskins is eventually going to have that full scale breakout where he hits 40. And I actually agree. I've been calling for that myself. I'm wondering though, at some point, I gotta really start to see it. We're a bit removed now from that 34 homer season back in 2018. So he's a good player, make no mistake about it. But can he really get to that next level? I'm not sure. I do like him as an interesting gold, though. I would say take this -2, wait for the price to lower, and then let's get in on him as a long-term gold option. Frankie Schwindel, I don't think he's a stone cold fluke from last year, but I don't think it's fully legit either, meaning I don't think he's a gold investment. Votto is off to a brutal start. I kind of implicitly trust Votto to fix his issues, though. I don't want to let my fandom cloud my judgment, though, so I'm not investing in him right now. Rowdy Tellez is a G. He's off to like a mediocre start. His power's been there a little bit, but you see he's hitting 200 on the average, so... The problem is that he platoons. He doesn't have to, though. He's actually been pretty good against lefties in his career. But they got a guy like Mike Brasso there who just kind of perfectly platoons. And so I get it, but I really wish they would just let Tellez play every day. Hosmer goes up 4 to silver. Who cares? Nathaniel Lowe +3. I love Nathaniel Lowe. I really, really do. The only thing is you see the -5 against righties, the -3 against lefties for his power. Until he learns to lift the ball, it's going to kind of cap what he can do. So I really like the talent, but he really needs to figure something out with getting the ball off the ground to have that true breakout season. I do like him as a sneaky hold for gold, though. I'm holding him for the long term. Bobby Dahlbeck, meh. Cooper gets nooched. My boy Luke Voigt, I mentioned him earlier. He had that slide. I don't know if he got hurt on that slide, but then he goes on the IL shortly thereafter. He's been brutal, but put him in that Hoskins, Mancini, Walsh camp where when he gets locked in, he's untouchable, but his cold streaks are ice cold. Torque gets hit for 2, and I get it because he's not off to that great of a start. But as somebody who watches the Tigers every day, I've actually been pretty impressed with him. He really looks like he belongs in the big leagues. Like he knows what he's doing. He learns from his at-bats. I'm really excited about him. So I'm going to take this opportunity with the -2 to invest, and I'm just going to hold for the summer. Darren Ruff -2. Santana's interesting, y'all. If you go to his StatCast right now on Baseball Savant, it is off the charts. Like, it is all red. And so that would suggest like maybe some great things are coming. I don't know for sure though. Like I'm a little skeptical of it. And I wonder, he hits the ball really hard, but like this is a guy who turns singles into outs and doubles into singles because he's so painfully slow. So I don't know. That's not the only thing that's going to hold him back. Obviously, if you're hitting the ball really hard and you get it out of the park, you don't have to worry about how slow you are. So keep an eye on Santana, both from a fantasy standpoint and from an investment standpoint. Somebody in chat mentioning how awful the shift is on him, and I get that too. So there is a little bit of intrigue there, but not enough for me to start investing just yet. Christian Walker gets +1. Miggy goes down 1. I get it. He's really only hitting for average right now. We'll see if he gets into any power, but nothing investable. Bogey and Choi are both interesting. Bogey is leading off, man. Our big beefy boy been leading off like crazy. He's kind of a platoon guy, though, so I really think silver is his cap, and so is Choi. He's a platoon guy as well. I could see Vogelbach getting more opportunities against lefties than Choi because Pittsburgh, who are they going to play in Vogelbach's stead? Whereas the Rays always have platoon options for choice. So he has to kind of do everything against righties to really push his numbers up. He could go silver, but that's it. There's no real reason to invest in Ji-Man Choi. I missed on Albies because while I did think that the power was going to go up, I thought they were going to nooch him because the average was so bad. But as you can see, there was enough juice in the power to counterbalance the contact dip and even the vision dip. His discipline goes up 8, so he did go up. Semien goes down 2. He's off to a really rough start. Edman +3. Edman could go diamond, y'all. And coming into the year, I would not have said that. I absolutely would not have said that. And I love Edman. I'm a big Tommy Edman fan. And he is on fire. And the biggest part is, look at that pop. And his defense has been off the charts too. Now, his defense is already good. And I don't think his arm is why his defense has been good. So there's not really an update opportunity for his defense. But everything else has been awesome. He is actually knocking on the door for diamond now all of a sudden. Trevor Story down 2. I'm not too worried about it. He's transitioning into Boston. That first year as a free agent, it's always difficult. I don't like to draft guys like this in fantasy because I just like to give them a year to transition. Some guys have no issues. They go into the new city with their big contract and they are just a god. A lot of guys, though, do have struggles. Francisco Lindor last year was kind of on up and down and ended up with a pretty mediocre season. And then it looks like he's right back on track this year. Carlos Beltran had the same issue with the Mets. So, yeah, I generally take a pass on guys in the first year of their big contract on a new team. Gene Segura goes up 1. Don't really see diamond potential. Ketel Marte got hammered, and he has been brutal. I will say, I'm not fully out on Marte. I'm not investing in him. But as far as fantasy goes, my concern is that the strikeouts are way up. Take somebody like Whit Merrifield, who's also a second baseman, and compare the two. Whit Merrifield is also off to a bad start. He probably got downgraded too, but he might be at a different position. But you look, and Whit Merrifield's core skills, his strikeout and walk rate, are where they're supposed to be. I think his is BABIP related, and he's going to be totally fine. Marte, though, with the strikeouts being up, I got a little bit of extra concern for him. I wouldn't cut him in fantasy leagues right now, but I am a little bit nervous. I will say that. The best number 9 hitter in the league, baby. For some reason, Jazz Chisholm started the first 3 weeks in the 9 hole. I don't understand that. I'm sorry, Marlins. Your lineup is not good enough to be putting Jazz Chisholm in the 9 spot. Jazz Chisholm is like kind of the next Javi Baez. His defense isn't quite as good, but at the dish, that's kind of who he is. When he's locked in, you can't get him out. But when he's cold, he's really, really rough. And remember, he did this last year. He had a 9-something OPS in the first month of the season last year. He did get hurt, so maybe it was just the injury that kind of derailed him. But from May 1st on, I'm getting you the numbers, it was really rough. In fact, he got hurt on April 27th, and so he missed 2 weeks, and then he came back on May 16th. And from that point forward, Jazz Chisholm had just a 681 OPS. So I love this. I root for him. He's one of the most exciting players in the game. I wouldn't get too, diamond happy with Jazz. Rake goes down 2, and I get it. He's off to a slow start. I'll be keeping tabs on him, though. He's one of my favorite players in the league. No reason to invest just yet, though. Brandon Lau, he did this last year. He was brutal for the first 6 weeks of the season and then ended up with 39 homers and 99 ribbies and looked really good by the end of the year. Jorge Polanco has come back down to earth after his excellent season last year. I haven't investigated him fully to know if there's major reasons for concern just yet. I'll reassess. So I don't know if I'm investing in him right now. I'm going to go ahead and say, check back with me later. Nicky Lopez gets nooched. He's going to play I think he already is playing every day, but even if he wasn't, he's going to now that Mondesi tore his ACL and he's out. But he's just not a good hitter, y'all. This guy's an amazing defender. There's definitely a role for him as a major leaguer, but he has no power, and I just don't see it. McNeil down or +1, meh. Taylor and Flores nooched. Wong down 2, Madrigal down 1. I'll stop if I see something that's particularly intriguing. The scopening will happen at some point, and you guys know what the scopening is. He gets dialed in for 3 weeks to a month at a time, like 2 times a year. And he's like the best player in the league. And he'll get a player of the month card, and he'll go gold, and then he'll come back to earth. Wait for that to happen, right? Like, just wait for that to happen. Frazier down 2. I did not believe in his little breakout last year. In fact, if you look, because he got traded, there's kind of a perfect split from when he went from Pittsburgh to San Diego, and you just look at those splits. He broke out, or he was hitting really well with Pittsburgh, and then he goes to San Diego, and he came back to being who he is. So he kind of is, he is who we thought he was. Michael Chavis is on my radar, y'all. This was a guy that I was not a huge fan of in Boston. He looked like a prototypical all-or-nothing power hitter, and I was just like, okay, whatever. I mean, he's somebody who can hit 25 a year, which has value, but I wasn't seeing anything particularly special. And then he started to get going this year, and I still was kind of like, whatever. And somebody in chat, I wish I could remember so I could give the proper credit, started bringing him up like, yo, are you in on this Michael Chavis thing? I was like, what Michael Chavis thing? I don't really see anything there. And then I looked, and I do see something there. So far, his strikeout rate is down 11 points from 34% last year to 23% this year. That is good. I can live with somebody with his power under a 25% strikeout rate. I will say it's starting to tick back up a bit. He's had, let's see. He's had 8 strikeouts in his last 4 games, so it might have been a mirage, but I am keeping tabs on it at least. And so there could be some potential here. He started off the season by just platooning. He's starting to play more every day, and it's at least worth watching. If the strikeouts continue to go back up, then we move on. But otherwise, I think as a bronze, it's cheap enough to go ahead and keep him as a save for silver potential. I'm a big Gavin Lux fan. He started off a little fast, and then he's kind of smoothed out. I mean, I'm reluctant to even say that because 45 at-bats, and I don't want to be like, well, the first part was good, and then the second part, like, it's all a small sample, so breaking it up into halves is pretty stupid. He's going to play most days, though, and there is a ton of talent here. I do think he's got breakout potential. I would actually say that there is gold upside here. If you want to be patient and kind of wait out for, into the summer, I think Gavin Lux could be a big breakout this year. Andres Jimenez, this is a prospect I've never really been a huge fan of. There is still upside, but I'm just not really there. Matt Duffy +1, number 4 hitter, Matt Duffy. Owen Miller, he's off to a tremendous start. There's no denying that. So he got a nice healthy 5-point boost. I need to see a lot more before I'm really going to jump in. Obviously, he's not going to hit 409. Call me crazy, but he's not going to have an 1187 OPS either. But I do like the player. There is a little bit of prospect intrigue with him. He's not some, former top 10 overall prospect or anything like that. He's more of like an organizational guy who would be in the top 20 list with San Diego. But we'll see. If he keeps playing, there is upside, but silver is the max, I think. Glaber down at a bronze. Does he still rank this year? He was a bronze last year, and I was still crushing with him in BR, but that's about the extent of his intrigue for me right now. Odor, Arise, nothing special there. Dude, Brendan Rodgers, what is going on? Holy crap, has he been terrible. Like, this is almost like you just throw up your hands and laugh at this point. Even if you're Brendan Rodgers, because like this is everything going against you. This isn't just playing poorly. This is bad luck. This is, the stars are aligned against you. He has a 111 BABIP, y'all. League average is around 300, and he's a career 303, and he has a 111. His strikeouts are up, so he is contributing to the suckiness himself. 28% strikeout rate, up from 20% last year. I just don't think he's this bad. Problem is there is no real investment opportunity because he might go silver, but that's really it. Diego Castillo, if he starts playing full-time, I would come back around to give him a look. But for now, just know the name. Vidal Brujan, this is just an improvement to kind of get to level set him properly. He's been up for like 2 seconds. I think somebody went on paternity or had COVID IL. Oh, yeah, it was Yandy Diaz was on the COVID IL, and Brujan got the call. However, if Josh Lowe continues to sputter, then Brujan will get called up, and they'll probably just trade spots. And I still really like Brujan as a prospect. So no need to really invest right now unless you got the stubs lying around and you want to, because he's probably super cheap. I do like the talent, though. D. Strange Gordon is back. Do they have his pitching numbers? They freaking better. Going over to third base, dude, Jose Ramirez is unreal. God, I love him. He's trying to put Cleveland's offense on his back. He's gotten a little bit of help this year. You know, Oscar Mercado's gotten into some power. We saw Owen Miller's been killing it. But they just don't have enough offense consistently outside of Ramirez to really move forward. I'm a big Josh Naylor fan, too, and he's back from his broken leg. Arenado goes to 90. He's been straight killing it. Machado up 1 to 88. Bregman is easily a destined for diamond candidate. He's not, off the charts so far this year. 801 OPS is solid, but I just think if he's healthy, he's going back to diamond. Like, it's that simple. Devers is sputtering a little bit. Nothing to really get too hung up about. Use this downgrade as an investment opportunity for him. Austin Riley's off to a great start. I was a little bit nervous about him too. I was like, is the breakout fully real? I might pull back, and so I wasn't really drafting him this year. So far, so good. And if he keeps this up and carries over last year's breakout and shows that it's 100% real, then he'll be going diamond at some point relatively soon within the next 2-3 updates. Escobar gets nooched. He's solid, but I don't really see diamond potential. DJ LeMahieu is playing every day and back to hitting. He's only going to go diamond, though, if the power comes back. And I don't really think it is. Like, I think he's going to be a 300 hitter with, like, mid-double-digit homer. Like, between 13 and 17 type homers. So, like, he's good. I definitely think he's good. But for our purposes, I think he's kind of maxing out around an 83, 84. Cabrizi goes gold. Let's go. Now, I really liked him in fantasy this year, mostly for speed, though. And I don't think his speed gets enough love. He's already got 2 steals. I think this is a guy who can steal 20 on the year. Now, that's not going to help our purposes that much in MLB The Show because it's not like they really mess with speed and stealing ratings all that much. So unless he gets into the power, he's probably going to cap at like an 82, 83. But great player, a lot of fun to root for. Chapman goes up 1. He's down back with another ugly batting average. There is diamond potential if he gets hot enough, but there's no reason to invest right now because he really needs to stay hot with the batting average to get there, and we're just not seeing it right now. Rendon -2. I feel like he's starting to swing out of it a little bit, though. If he can stay healthy, I think he'll get back on track and could eventually be a diamond candidate. But for now, I'm not investing. Urshela is knocking on the door for gold, and I do think he could get there. He's playing every day in Minnesota. He's a modest investment. I would kind of put a little bit in him, but nothing crazy. Joey Wendell up to, speaking of steals, my man has 4 already. This is kind of wild. He's always been a good base stealer. He's a 74% success rate for his career, but he's not some big burner. So I think maybe just Miami's turning him loose. You don't have to be a big speed guy to be a good base stealer. Obviously, it helps. It gives you a much bigger margin for error. But if you're a smart base runner, you can get gobs of steals just by being sharp out there. I mean, Chase Utley was an amazing base stealer efficiency-wise, and he wasn't particularly fast. Carlos Beltran was super fast early in his career, but as he got older, he stayed an amazing base runner because of his smarts. McMahon gets nooched. I've already said it a couple times, but I'll just kind of give a blanket Rockies statement. Obviously, they can hit a level change if they have a perfect timing of a homestand when a roster update is going to happen and they get hot. And McMahon could be the same way. Suarez looks like he's back, y'all, which means he can go gold for sure. So I think Suarez is kind of back into being a really good pitcher, or a pitcher. Justin Turner kind of goes through ebbs and flows. Injuries are usually his biggest issue, though. I'm not really worried about the talent. Didn't he do this last year? I'm going to look him up real quick. I feel like he was struggling for a decent bit at some point last year, and it was like, oh, what's wrong with Justin Turner? It's like, nothing really. He'll be fine. Okay, yeah, it did happen, but not at the beginning of the year. It was in the middle of the season. He had, or not the middle, but he had a 632 OPS in May after a 1005 in April. But then he went 916 and 986 in June and July. Bottom line, if he's healthy and he's not like playing through an injury or something that we learn about later, if he's just fine and just kind of struggling a little bit, I'm not worried about Justin Turner. And I do think that you can use this as an opportunity to invest because the price will now crater. P. Wizzy, he can get hot enough to go gold, but I would not invest. He's so volatile. You see that vision down at 17. When he's off, dude, oh my God, he strikes out, 75% of the time, it feels like. So I would not do that. Too volatile for me. Yandy gonna go silver. Yandy's like a max silver type. Josh Donaldson's sputtering right now. We know he can get going, but at his age, with his health concerns, I would not invest. Ibanez, VR, Espinal. Espinal's been intriguing, and you can see here he gets nooched, but he did get a few healthy boosts there in the middle there with the contact and power against righties, and then the contact and power against lefties, and then the power against righties. I like Espinal as an interesting guy. He can go silver, but that's about it. Alec Boehm has already been through the ringer this year with, kind of by his own, own actions there when he got caught saying, I fucking hate this place after that 3-error day. But he owned it like a champ, and he's been killing since. So I think when they accepted his apology and gave him that standing O, he's like, okay, now I can calm down, and he's been tearing the cover off the ball. He's a legit badass prospect. Last year sucked shit, but I don't think that that's who he is. I definitely think Alec Boehm can go gold this year. Maikel Franco, nooched. Brendan Drury's kind of a platoon guy. Brian Anderson, mediocre. Jack Mayfield, +3, but I don't see anything there. Bobby Witt gets nooched. Obviously, he's off to a brutal start. I'm not too worried about it, though. I think they're going to give him a pretty decent leash, especially with Mondesi's injury, right? There's no pressure to, send him down. I think he's going to be okay. Obviously, if he puts up another 3 weeks with a 532 OPS, he's going to have to get sent down. But I'm not too worried right now. I would not invest because I just don't see the upside just yet. But I still like him for fantasy purposes. I would say that. My man, Candelario, he's been emblematic of the Tigers' offensive struggles, though. I think he'll be fine. But when I say that, I mean he could get back to silver at some point this year. Nothing to really invest in. Sheldon Noisy is how you pronounce it. It's not Noose. It's Noisy, and he's been making some noise. He's been pretty good. He's back with Oakland. He was with Oakland, went to the Dodgers, and now he's back in Oakland, and there's playing time aplenty for him. And I've got some love for him. I think that there is some real upside. I had him going to 70, so I was 1 point shy. But yeah, there's a lot of power in this bat. The real question is, can he cut into the strikeout rate enough? And you can see he already got a +12, but that's only to 39. So that his vision was really crappy if he got +12 only to go to 39. It's the same thing I said with Patrick Wisdom on a lower scale. I don't think he's quite Patrick Wisdom, but guys that strike out this much, they can go into such cold streaks. So if the improved strikeout rate is real and he can start tapping into the power that we've seen from him before, I do think Sheldon Noisy can be a silver this year with maybe some long-term gold potential, but that would take a full-scale breakout. Jake Berger's a guy I really actually like quite a bit. The playing time has been there early on because Yoel Moncada went on the IL. He hasn't fully taken advantage of it, but we're talking 47 at-bats. And a 738 OPS isn't even bad. So I'm not dogging out Berger right now. I just worry, though, because once Moncada does come back, will that playing time dry up? So I've got a handful of shares of him because he's a common and who cares? I'll just put him off to the side like I've been saying about a bunch of other guys. Keep tabs on him, but for now, you don't need to, bend over backwards trying to get like 100 Jake Burgers. Mitch Ney is the only new third baseman. CJ Chatham and Matt Reynolds are the new shortstops. Trey Turner goes down 2. I'm not too worried about it, but whatever. Francisco Lindor does indeed go diamond. He's been awesome. I think he should hold diamond this year. I thought Wander might go. When they said that there was 5 diamonds and I only had 3 on my list, I was like, well, who could be the other guys? I was like, maybe Wander's one of them. Not quite, but if he keeps hitting like this, he'll be diamond next time. I'm sure his price is freaking through the roof. It was already through the roof as an 80, so he wasn't really investable anyway. And I'm going to be interested to see how the market is today because I haven't checked on it yet. I started this pretty much right after I did my initial review, and so I haven't seen what the prices have done. Are people going to start selling Franco because they thought he was going to go diamond this time and then they're pissed, or is he just going to go up even higher? I don't know. Bogarts gets nooched. This was the guy I was referencing earlier that I said I had him for diamond, but I didn't quite give enough credence to his strikeout and walk rates. I was just kind of getting caught up in his core 4, which are the 2 contact and 2 power numbers. He has, well, okay. They did him a little dirty on the vision. I don't know that he had to get -5 on the vision. His strikeout rate is up from 19 to 22%. Maybe, and if they are doing this, I respect it because it does make sense. Maybe they are looking at the swinging strike rate and they see that that's gone up from 9 to 13%, and a 4-point jump in your swinging strike rate is pretty big. And maybe they're giving a little bit more credence to the strikeout jump, saying, "Hey, he is swinging and missing a good bit more. We're gonna ding him for that." But the walk rate is tanked through the floor. He went from 10% last year. He's down to 4% this year. So they hit him pretty hard on that. In the past, they haven't gone too hard on early season walk rates. So I'm actually a little surprised that they did, but I got it wrong. So I'm going to own it. I'm not going to divest though. I'm going to stay invested in Bogey. Bo's sputtering a little bit. I'm not too worried. I would say that you can use this price. If he dips in price enough, we will jump back in as a potential return to diamond. Nico Horner gets +3. He's hitting very well to start the season. I don't really know how he gets to diamond with the power profile that he has, though. Tim Anderson, our yearly trek for Tim Anderson to diamond. Will he eventually get there? Probably at some point. He seems to every year, at least at some juncture. It could take a long time, though. -2 for Seager. He and Semien haven't been terribly strong just yet with their new club. I'm not too worried about it. At the same time, I'm not really investing in Seager either. Carlos Correa -4, another new face in a new place who is just not off to a great start. Not too worried, but I don't see the reason to go invest. JP Crawford. Now here's a guy. Who am I, John Gruden or freaking Chris Collinsworth? Now here's a guy for every fucking guy. Now here's a guy I really like, Al. JP Crawford might be starting a big breakout. I definitely think there is a chance that JP Crawford is, and I don't even want to say like panning out on his prospect hype, because his prospect hype always included his defense. It was never fully about his bat. It was somebody who was like a true defensive shortstop who's really good and can hit enough. So I feel like, okay, last year was kind of what I thought he was going to be, but he's tapping into some new power. And if that's real, then he's easily a gold. And then maybe we start talking the old big diamond. But for now, he is easily a hold for gold, obviously as a 79. Brandon Crawford did lose 2 points, goes down. I mean, keep an eye on him. If he starts turning it around and getting to a hot streak, then he can go gold. We're back on the Willy Adames hold for gold train. Remember last year when he went to Milwaukee, we had to wait a couple updates, but he got there, and he's been fine this year. He got 4 homers. The batting average is low. I'm not too worried about it. Easy hold for gold. Ha-Seong Kim is a little bit of a deeper cut hold for gold. Here's the key, though. I'm not rooting against C.J. Abrams. I hope he figures it out and pops off because he is a exciting young player. But the simple fact is he's been dreadful to start the season. And unlike somebody like Bobby Witt, who dominated in AAA last year, and I think they're going to give him a long leash, Abrams, skipped AAA. He's coming directly from AA, and I think they're going to realize in a couple weeks, if he continues to struggle, that maybe he's just not quite ready. And that would put Kim into the full-time shortstop role. And if he can take off, I mean, he's already got an 842 OPS. If he can really break out, then he can even stay there when Tatis gets back, because Tatis can go to the outfield. So I love Ha-Seong Kim. He was dreadful last year. I fully accept that. But I still believe in the talent here, and I still believe there's breakout potential. It's a long-term hold for gold. Absolute, total long-term. I'm talking July type of deal. So if you're not interested in that sort of long-term, don't do it. But if you don't mind being patient, Ha-Seong Kim could be one of your guys. Jose Iglesias is who he is, right? He's a hits machine. Being in Colorado is going to be perfect for him. He might hit 340 this year, but it might be with a 360 slug. So, I mean, he could go gold. He's gone gold before, but don't do it. Ahmed Rosario -1. I like Rosario a little bit more than Jimenez, and I only pair them because they came over in the Lindor deal, but I don't like either for an investment. Aledmys Diaz, whatever. Miguel Rojas. Man, pour one out for Mondesi, dude. It sucks. And the people that are I knew he was going to get hurt. Fuck you, dude. We all knew he was an injury risk. But, you knew he was going to tear his ACL? Oh, okay, cool. Give me the lotto numbers, you dumbass. People that cheer injuries are the fucking most ghoulish, weird dweebs ever. Okay, cool. Oh, you thought Buxton was going to get hurt? Wow, dude, you really cracked the code there. Oh, wow. Tell me more. Your fucking piercing analysis. Everyone knows Mondesi's an injury risk. It's they create this straw man of I told everyone Mondesi was an injury risk. Who the fuck doesn't know that? It just sucks that it's such a catastrophic injury that ends his season, because he's such an electric player. I mean, even with his shit line of 149, 200, 149, he's still an electric player when he plays. That's the crazy thing about him. And we know that he could have turned it around in a heartbeat, but now he won't get an opportunity to. Didi gets nooched. If he starts getting back into his power, I think Didi can get back to gold this year. This would be a very long-term one as well, July and beyond. But he had that elbow issue last year, and I'm kind of taking that as the reason that he sucked. So I love Didi. He's easy to root for. He's such a cool guy too. So I'm rooting for him. I hope things go well. I'm not saying to invest in him right now. He's 5 points away, but just keep an eye on him, and you start to see him put some homers together, then you can jump in. Tyro Estrada can certainly go bronze, but that's about it. Kyle Farmer, meh. I hope Jose Barrero takes his job when he gets back. The singles god, Isaiah Kiner Falefa. He's like a poor man's Jose Iglesias. Do with that what you will. Dansby Swanson has been a wreck so far. He finally got a homer. I think he actually had a combo meal yesterday, which is a homer and a steal in the same game. Maybe that starts to turn the tide on things. He got hammered here, and I get it. He got Ketel Marte. I don't think I would invest, though. O'Neal Cruz, I guess. Oh, I was like, what changed here? +3 to his contact. When he gets called up, we will be interested. But until then, no need to worry. Nobody on this page except for Jeremy Pena. 69, very nice. He gets a 5-point boost. If you've seen the Tops Now, you know that he's got that really slick Tops Now card. Jeremy Pena has major upside. Long-term hold for gold. Power speed guy with great defense. Listen, I'm with everybody else who didn't think Houston was going to go into the season with Pena as their guy. Oh, they're going to do something. And then when Correa was the last man standing, it's well, they'll probably just bring Correa back. No, they trusted Pena. They're we have our guy. We're good. And to their credit, so far at least, he looks the part. He's only hitting 238, so it's not like we're saying, this is a MVP or anything, but he has a 267 BABIP. That will come up. His batting average will come up. He's shown some power. He hasn't shown speed in terms of stolen bases, but he has clear speed. He has great defense. I really like him as a potential gold candidate. Taylor Walls is a solid utility man, but that's really about it. Left field. New left fielders are Carlos Cortez and Zach Davis. I do not know either of them. Alvarez is a monster. Those of you who are around for the JD Martinez situation from a few years ago when we were waiting for him to go to Diamond, and then they gave him this phantom ass fielding boost to get him there. I was happy about it because I had a bunch of shares, but it kind of was like, hey, word, really? Okay, thank you, SDS. That was a gift. I appreciated it. That's kind of what it's going to take for Alvarez. I mean, I guess in this instance, it's a little different because he did get hammered on his contact. So he could actually just hit for a ton of batting average to maybe get there. But my concern is that, let's say he starts going off and brings up his batting average, which I think will happen. Then maybe they lower his defense and they neuch him and they keep him at an 84. So be careful. That's all I'm going to say. Yeah, Nelson Cruz as well, who actually never got there. So you have the two cases that are very much Alvarez-esque. JD Martinez, who eventually got there because of defense, which is a weird sentence to say. And then Cruz, who never was able to get over the hump despite having the best core four skills you could have without being Diamond because his defense was so wretched. So just be careful. I love Alvarez. I think he's an excellent player. But sometimes these no defense guys can really struggle to get their boost. He does have that 82 accuracy on his throwing, but if he starts playing some shitty defense, he could really make it difficult to go Diamond. Pardon me. Lourdes Gurriel Jr. This is another guy who started slow last year, and if you really weren't keeping an eye on him like day to day or had him on fantasy or anything, then you might have missed the fact that he really turned his season around. But he started really poorly for like 35 games, and then from that point forward, he was a stud. And yes, in his last 108 games, he hit 302, 351, 528 with 19 homers, which was a 28 homer pace for a full season. I love Gurriel. There is a world where he could get Diamond. I would not invest for it, though, only because I think it would take a pretty extraordinary jump to get there. So I'm just going to go ahead and root for him and kind of keep tabs on it. If he hits a big power surge and he's like, 5 homers in a 10-day span or something, I'll get in. But for now, just kind of wait and see. Plus, you look at his average and OBP, they're not very good right now. So you got the boost because of the vision and the contact. Tyler O'Neill goes down 1. I was not a huge Tyler O'Neill fan coming into this year, though I will say it was because of his strikeout and walk rates being so poor. And the funny thing about his slow start is that his strikeout and walk rates are actually pretty good. So it's like he's fixed the issues that he had there, or at least started to fix them. They're not fully fixed after 74 plate appearances. But his strikeout rate is down from 31% to 23%, and his walk rate is up from 7% to 11%. And I'm like, damn, those are good, but his BABIP is 229. That won't last. And he has a 6% homer to fly ball rate. He had 26% last year. So his numbers are all over the place. I'm not taking a dub for saying that I'm out on him this year yet. No shot, because once his numbers regress, and I think his BABIP and homer to fly ball will regress positively, he could pop off. And if he keeps these strikeout and walk gains, he'll be Diamond in a heartbeat. So I'm actually going to look into investing in him, despite the fact that I came into the year pretty negative on Tyler O'Neill. Austin Hayes up 1. I don't really see an investment opportunity there. Damn, what the hell? Castellanos down 1 feels tough. Wow. Okay. That's a little tough, but we know he's got the power to really be great. He's been Diamond before, but he kind of goes in that JD Martinez, Alvarez, Cruz camp, though, where it's really dicey because his defense sucks so bad. So it all has to come from the offense. He's got the offense to do it. So if you want to invest, you can, but just be careful. Verdugo goes up 1. I'm sorry, by the way. I had him going up higher because he dropped 100 points of OPS from the time I did my list to the time that it locked. So I'm sorry if you thought he was going to go 83 like I said on the list. That's the tough part with the early season, is that 3 games can totally screw your numbers, and that's basically what happened with him. That's just not really how it works, Attica. Michael Brantley gets nooched, AD -1. Meadows +1. Meadows can easily go gold. -2 for Randy. Randy has been sputtering, y'all, and it doesn't look good either. You know, we talked about this yesterday about whether or not to call things a slow start or to say somebody's struggling. Because it's so early that it's difficult to say somebody's struggling when they can turn their whole season around in two games. But if you're watching Randy right now, I think it's okay to say he's struggling, at least right now. He might turn it around with 2 huge games or like a huge week. But at present, he's lost at the dish. Chris Breezy goes down 1. Definitely a hold for return to gold. Joey Gallo -2. Yes, he can go back gold because he's 1 point away, but I wouldn't invest just because the volatility of Gallo makes it very frustrating. Stanton I would, though, because when he gets hot, he goes brazy. -3 is tough, though. Peterson gets +2. The only problem with hold for gold for him is that it all has to come against righties. And so I wouldn't invest because it just puts way too much pressure on one side of the ball. Oh, look who's back. Hello. You got any more shit to talk? Hello, guys. Sharpvestments.com. We're running a sale. Only $298 a day if you sign up now. Cool. Sounds awesome. Kyle Schwarber goes down 2. I love Kyle Schwarber. I'm not too worried about him at all. I'm actually going to invest in this. I like that he dropped down. Andrew Benintendi looks great so far. I'm glancing at chat here. I see Marcos calling it a fluke. I fully disagree. I think Andrew Benintendi is a great hold for gold. I am a huge, huge fan of his. I think he can tap into some more power. My only big issue, though, is that his park, the KC's park, really stifles power, and we know how shitty the ball is, too. So that's a little bit of the problem. Obviously, he's not going to hit 383. Nobody's saying that. But I do like Andrew Benintendi, and I do think he's a decent hold for gold. Connor Joe. I was a big Connor Joe fan coming into the season, so I'm really excited by the fast start. I do think he has gold potential. That's where it maxes out, though. I don't think he's really a diamond guy. But, yeah, Connor Joe's been awesome. Definitely hold for gold. Jesse Winker, once he got traded, man, as much as I've enjoyed watching him as a player in Cincinnati and kept rooting for him to stay healthy enough to play a full season, that park is disastrous. He went from the 3rd best park for lefties to the literal worst. So he was totally off my draft board. Ian Happ is good and definitely has gold upside. It's a matter of health, though. Canha gets nooched. We know he can go gold. He's been there. Actually, no, he never got there last year. That's right. There was like 3 or 4 updates where I projected him for gold, and it never freaking got there. It was so frustrating. Now he's hitting well, at least with his average and OBP, but no power. Of course, nobody has any power, unfortunately. Like that's, like I said, I mentioned the ball earlier. It's like CJ Cron is the only guy with power in the league right now. It's unbelievable. But I do think Canha will eventually, well, no, I don't want to say he'll eventually go gold because that's too definitive. I think he is an interesting hold for gold candidate, but I would not go all in. Let's just say, let's compare him to somebody else, to these 2 guys right here, Joe and Hap. I would rank it Joe, Hap, and then Canha down a little bit, down like 2 levels below them type of deal. And as somebody brought up, Canha did get hurt, and that really derailed his season last year. Ozuna up 3. He could go gold. We know he's been good before. Shitty dude off the field. I'm not making a value judgment on that. Obviously, fuck him for that shit, but he is a good hitter. And, investing in him to go gold doesn't mean you condone who he is as a person, right? Like, I totally get it if you don't want to fuck with it because you're like, fuck that guy completely. I don't even want to invest in his pixels. But also know that somebody investing in him doesn't mean that they think he's cool. Seth Breezy goes down 1. I like Seth Breezy a lot, and he does have really good defense that kind of helps him set up for gold. The problem is he's super volatile because he strikes out a ton. I am so bummed. I am so bummed that Yelich kind of sucks. I would not invest. Eddie Rosario, dude, these players that take forever to get their eyes fixed when they can't fucking see the ball are insane to me, dude. The second that you can't see, you should be like, I got to figure this out. But thankfully he is, and I hope he's okay when he gets back. David Peralta's interesting. I do like him. When he gets hot, he can be really good, but he's kind of a platoon guy too. He might not platoon against lefties, but he doesn't hit them very well either, so he might as well be a platoon guy. Raimel Tapia batted 4th yesterday for some fucking reason. Andrew Vaughn is a definite hold for gold. He's awesome, and if he consistently plays against righties and starts to hit against them, I think he's an easy gold. And if the full-scale breakout comes, I wouldn't even put Diamond out of the question. This is a number 3 overall pick. He's got a ton of power. It all is going to hinge on how well he does against righties, 1,000%. I mentioned Mercado earlier in that he's been getting into some power, but as you can see, it's only been the power. It's been like an all or nothing. So I wouldn't even invest in him for silver right now, even though he's only 1 point away. Oh, that's why Shark came in here. The Roomba's going. Solak gets nooched. Soler goes down. We know how streaky Soler is. When he gets going again, he could jump all the way to gold from bronze. But until you start to see him get going, don't worry about it. Chad Pinder gets nooched. I do like Pinder. I'll swipe right on Pinder, but he kind of only hits lefties. I see that he got a nice boost here against righties. And wow, so he's actually flipping his platoon right now. And, you know, the people who do projections and things like that study the math of it, they'll tell you that platoon streaks, like someone being a lefty killer or a righty killer, that's not mathematically sound. From year to year, those things can flip on a dime. So you have to be careful getting too tied into those. And for most of his career, it's been like, oh, Pinder crushes lefties and can't hit righties. And yeah, he has a 787 career OPS against lefties, 688 against righties. So far this year, he's 867 against righties, 583 against lefties. Of course, it's been 12 plate appearances against lefties, so don't worry too much about that. He does have silver upside, but that's about it. Ugh. I don't even want to talk about this one because it hurts my heart. I adore Badu. I really, really do. He's getting screwed with the playing time and the lineup position. He's not helping himself out, though, either, you know? You got to hit wherever you are. I understand that. So I can't just blame it all on Hinch or anything like that. I'm not giving up on him in fantasy, but I'm not investing in I'm not investing here, though. Jurickson Profar only got 1? Oh, man. That's tough. That's really surprising. He gets 4 major jumps, takes a big hit in vision and a little hit in contact, and it ends up as a +1? Wow. Okay, that's surprising. That's tough. I'm going to stay invested in Profar. I had him for +3 up to 74. I'm going to stay invested. It's cheap enough to do so, though. That's the main reason. So I'm not too worried about it. Seth Beer, he's not bad. He can go silver, but that's about it. Kelnick is struggling again, y'all. Brandon Marsh, if he keeps hitting like this, he's going to overtake Adele because we know Taylor Ward is not coming out of the lineup. Joe Madden said he is the guy, that Taylor Ward is the guy in right, and Marsh and Adele are going to platoon, and Marsh is hitting, Adele isn't. Marsh could take that job, and Marsh has gold upside. I think he's definitely a silver candidate, but he could go gold this year too if he keeps hitting like that. Yadiel Hernandez, nah. I'll let you know if I see anything appealing here. Cooper Hummel is a switch hitter, but he only plays against lefties, so that means he doesn't play very often, which makes it difficult to try to invest in him. Nick Heath and Braden Bishop, and then Dom T, Demerit, and Kivlahan are the only other new fielders. All right, center field. Fishboy, he's a god. Buxton, he's a god. Robert gets nooched. Kind of a bummer, but that's That's all right. He's an electric player. I mean, I get it. I'm not saying he should have gone up or anything. I'm just saying he has the talent to obviously be somebody who could threaten 90 this year, to be honest. Marte goes down. We know he can get hot enough to go back to Diamond, but I wouldn't invest in it. He's a little bit older. He's had some injury issues in his career. Springer, we've seen Springer at Diamond a bunch. So if you want to start investing in him now, you know that he can get back to Diamond. So I don't hate that idea at all. I don't think Mullins was a fluke last year. So this slow start does not make me feel like, he's finally coming back to earth and last year was total bullshit. He's just off to a slow start. I'm not too worried. I'm going to wait at least 6-7 weeks into the season before I make any major assessments on Mullins. I still like Harrison Bader for a big breakout, y'all. He's been like an okay start. If you have him in fantasy, you love the 5 steals, no homers yet. But I still think Harrison Bader has huge upside. And because his defense and speed are so excellent, his hitting doesn't even have to be that great to be a diamond. So it's a little bit of a higher end investment because he is a gold. But I'm going to have some long-term Bader shares for sure. Belly gets nooched. He's been all right. There's been some positives to look at, but not great. Brian Reynolds gets -3. That's tough. I'm not worried about him, though. Gritchuck goes +1. He's got great gold opportunity. I'm actually surprised he didn't get it. I think that's... Did I have him going gold? I think I did. Gritchuck. Yeah, I did. So I missed that one. My bad. But just hang on if you invested. Enrique down 1. We know he forced with gold. He's between gold and silver a whole bunch during the year. Michael A. Taylor goes up 2. He's kind of like a poor man's Bader though. His defense and speed are so good that his offense doesn't even have to be that great to go gold. McCormick, meh. If Aaron Hicks can stay healthy, he can go gold, but that's such a big if that I wouldn't really invest in it. I'm not out on Trent Grisham yet. He's off to a dreadful start, and he wasn't that great last year, but I'm going to give him a little bit more time before I fully dump him as far as like fantasy goes. For MLB The Show purposes, there's no need to invest. Jesus Sanchez can definitely go gold this year, but he's a lot like teammate Jorge Soler. He's a better defender. I'm talking strictly from a hitting standpoint. He has major power. He can get really, really streaky, though, because of the strikeouts. I still really like Dalton Varsho. He's not off to a great start because of the 675 OPS, but the 4 homers and 2 steals, and he's catcher eligible in fantasy. So you're very happy with where he is at fantasy. He gets nooched here. I still think he's a hold for gold. Pache, he's a poor man's Michael A. Taylor. We're just sliding down the scale of center fielders. Again, the defense and speed are so good that the hitting doesn't even have to be that great to do a level change. He can get to silver, but you got to do more than a 599 OPS, that's for sure. And Victor Robles is a poor man's... No, I'm kidding. Stephen Kwan only gets 5 points because, I mean, he doesn't have any power. So it's like, I love the fast start from him. I do believe that he's a good batting average guy, but there's no real punch there. So I'm just not sure where this goes beyond what we've seen so far. Finishing up in right field, Judge gets nooched, but he also has a dachshund, so he's inherently a great person. Don't be looking at those dachshunds on wine. I saw you looking at Anthony Wizzo and Aaron Judge. Shar gets mad when I look at other dogs online. Soto gets nooched. I think Soto and Judge will eventually go 90 plus at some point this year. That's probably, they're too expensive to really invest in, though. I'm not worried about Harper either. I mean, he's not even been bad. He just kind of came down from, a huge level to a very good level. He can go back to 90, but, don't waste your stubs investing in that. The payoff just isn't really worth it. Tucker gets hit. I get it, but I do think he's a diamond candidate for, later this year. Like, invest now or when the price bottoms out, and he'll get hot. Don't worry. Renfroe, slow start. When he gets dialed in, he's good, but I don't really see diamond potential. I'll tell you what, if Nimmo's power is real, y'all, I think he could go diamond this year. I really do. It would take a while, right? He's still 4 points away. So we're talking like still 6 weeks at the very least, of great performance. But I don't rule it out. The biggest issue, though, is health. He gets hurt damn near every year. That's the tough part. Avi goes down 3. I get it. He's been brutal. Mitch Haniger gets nooched. He's off the COVID IL, so keep an eye on him. Actually, no, don't worry about keeping an eye on him. There's no investment chance here, though, because he's already a gold, and there's no reason to invest. Charlie Blackmon goes up 1. He's obviously a diamond candidate. Cruz is a gold candidate. Gold. Sorry. Charlie Blackmon, gold, not diamond. Pardon me. Cruz can get back, but he's struggling now, and he struggled with Tampa Bay. Maybe it wasn't just the trop. I don't know. It's too early to say, but I wouldn't invest. Kepdog, I love Kepdog. He is streaky. You see he did get a boost against lefties. The problem has always been that he doesn't hit lefties, and he has very low BABIPs, so his batting average always sucks. So he has the power to be a gold card, but and I think he's been a gold card before, but I'd be careful. He's too volatile for me. DC has been sputtering, but I still really, really like the talent. He did go up 1, so it's like 575 OPS still got him a boost because he got so much of a vision improvement. I want to see where his price is before I invest in gold, but I do think he's got great gold potential this year. Here's Witt. I talked about him earlier in relation to Ketel Marte. He is off to a dreadful start at 313 OPS. There's no two ways around it. But he's not striking out a ton. I think he's just had bad batted ball luck. Things just aren't breaking his way. He will get hot. I think Merrifield is an easy hold for gold. I can't wait to see the price drop, and I will be investing. Anthony Santander has taken 1 million walks this year. That's why he has a 39% or 39-point discipline jump. Until we start to see the power really take off, though. Actually, no, the power's been okay. It's the batting average that's the real issue. 222 batting average. He does have some gold upside, but it's a bit long term. What? How does this only get +1? What am I missing? So, okay, I went super aggro here. I thought he was going to go gold. So I put him 75 to 80, which I know was aggro. But if you had told me that he was going to get +14, +4, +2, +25, and then -5, -2, I don't get it. I guess vision is weighted as heavily as possible. That doesn't make any sense to me. I mentioned Josh Naylor earlier when I was talking about the Guardians. I think he's a really strong hold for gold candidate. He broke his leg last year, but he's a real strong hitter. I think his major upside here. I'm going to be investing in him for the summer hold for gold. Margot gets nooched. Taylor Ward, this dude is for real. Obviously not 1271 OPS for real, but I do believe that he's a legit strong hitter, and he does now have gold upside. It's going to take a while because he doesn't have a ton of major league track record, and he's a 75, so he's 5 points away. But if you're willing to wait for the long haul, invest in Taylor Ward, and I think we got summer gold on our hands. Myers -2. We know how streaky he is. Grossman, meh. Franmil's been in the tank so far, but he'll eventually get hot and probably go back to silver, but don't worry about gold. Piscotty goes up a couple, good for him. Calhoun down, Dozier up 1. I like Dozier, man. He's a guy I've always just kind of, I'm like, I don't know. I just like him. You know, sometimes you like those mid-tier players that you're like, I don't know why I like him. I just do. I like Hunter Dozier. Adele gets +3, but like I said, Marsh is out playing him right now, and that's going to be a big deal. Okay, so I'm sorry, I don't agree with you guys that said that vision is weighted so heavily, and that's why Suzuki went down, or only went up 1, and then Adele goes up 3. It doesn't make any sense. I don't understand it. Now, it all depends on where you're starting from. I get that. So I wonder if the moves are weighted too. Like going 66 to 69 isn't as hard as going 75 to 76. That might be part of it too. But damn, I don't look at this and see +3, and then I look at Suzuki and only see +1. I'm confused. Anyway, Ben Gamble gets nooched, and then Pavin Smith gets -2, which I get, but I like this guy. This is another guy in the Hunter Dozier camp where I really like him. I think there's a lot of hit tool here, But until he taps into some power, he's probably capped at silver upside, which he's obviously 8 points away from that. So no need to invest right now, but I do like Pavin Smith. And that's going to do it. The roster update only took 14 hours. Holy Toledo. I really don't know how long it took, but it was a long time. 450 players, though. We talked about all of them, or damn near all of them. Hopefully you got some good information on who to invest in going forward. I still don't know how the dust is settling as far as the prices right now. I'll have some more information and talk through that a bit more once I see that. So maybe we'll get into that a little bit over the weekend once the market sort of settles. So thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Again, if you want to watch these live on Twitch, they will be every roster update when the roster update drops at 2 p.m. Central on Twitch at twitch.tv/Spore. Hit that like, hit that subscribe. Talk to you next time.